Here we are, guys, in part 24 of this story. In the land of waves, our favorite blonde encounters the QB. Watch the subsequent events unfold as Naruto uses the power that was sealed inside of him on the day of his birth. Please remember to like, subscribe, and share with your friends. Now, let's begin. So what do you say, Hiyashi, do we have an agreement? Asked Iroh. Hiyashi turned his head away. Normally, he would have immediately backed down the offer, but why wasn't he now? His attention then turned to the field and to his daughter. Why? He actually wanted to accept the wager, but why? After trying so hard to keep Hinata away from being sealed, why did he want to risk it now? So? What do you say? You'd better speak now before the match starts, provoked Harabi. Still hesitant, he continued to look down as his daughter and the other 9 competitors basked in the welcomes and cheers of the audience, something they had been deprived of in Kumo. Was he really thinking of putting his own daughter's future on the line? It was then that Hinata looked up, directly towards him. Now he knew why. For the very first time, he could saw without even the slightest doubt, that he truly believed in her. Long gone was the shy, timid girl that he had seen as a disappointment. What now stood there was a young woman who had complete confidence in her abilities and one he had prayed so hard to finally see blossom. Hiyashi could see the way the elders were drooling over this opportunity. For one reason or another, they held a deep hatred for Hinata. Then again, they never liked her mother either. When the two of them had first started their relationship, the elders had been so adamant about the two ending it, and as a result, they married one another. The first 4 years of their marriage had been difficult, with the clan and the elders always upon them, but they enjoyed their time spent together and loved one another with no limits. And then Hinata was born. She looked just like her mother and honestly, Hiyashi couldn't have been happier. When he began training her, yes, he was strict, but he was also fair and loving with Hinata outside of the dojo. All 3 of them were never without a smile on his face. Even after his brother's sacrifice, he was truly grateful that his brother had allowed him to spend more time with his family. 2 years later, Hanabi was born, but at a terrible price. His wife had suffered from complications from giving birth and passed away shortly after. Ever since then, his once warm heart began to grow cold towards Hinata as she reminded him too much of the woman who was taken away from him, and turned his attention to Hanabi, the last gift she ever gave him. For the next 6 years, Hinata's confidence suffered tremendously and he began seeing her as a weak failure. In all honesty, he was maybe a week at most away from having her sealed and banished from the clan until he heard that she had made the final round of the Chunin exams. Following that, bit by bit, the shell that Hinata had encased herself in was slowly peeled away, and the result was directly in front of him. The funny thing though, is that this was all due to a certain blonde-haired boy, who bore a striking resemblance to his late teammate. His thoughts were taken back to when his wife first told him that she was pregnant. He remembered back to one night in particular when he had told Minato and the two of them spent an evening on top of Minato's own head, celebrating and cracking jokes. If there was one that he now remembered the best, it was the two of them joking about the possibility of their kids ending up together, assuming one was a boy and the other was a girl. Knowing Minato, he was probably cracking up right about now, wherever he was. Hiyashi's mind was brought back to the current situation. This was yet another of the many attempts by the elders to separate his family, and honestly, he was getting tired of such disgraceful acts. Fine, I'll play their game one last time, thought Hiyashi to himself as he immediately began concocting a plan that would ultimately save his family. Very well, I'll accept your wager, said Hiyashi. The grins on the elders' faces grew to a point where the only one in the village who could beat them in the grin department was Naruto. But, should Hinata win, you will never threaten her with the possibility of being sealed again. You will never seal her, nor will you even think about sealing her. Those are my terms. The elders' smirks disappeared instantly. They had been expecting Hiyashi to counter with something that would simply buy him more time, but not this. While this event was unexpected, they had come prepared to win, so it didn't matter. Either way, they would have her sealed by the end of the day. Harabi pulled a scroll out from inside his robe and handed it to Hiyashi, stating the terms of the wager. Hiyashi scribed in his own terms, full immunity from the seal for Hinata. He then bit his own finger and signed the scroll with his own blood seal as the elders did the same. This way, neither side would be able to back away or try anything afterwards. Very well, said Harabi. Duranji, please go and prepare the brand. Duranji, son of the elder Moriko, merely bowed and left. Hiyashi glared at them as he went and took his place next to Hanabi, who was next to Ino and the rest of Team 10, while the remaining Konoha 12 and their senseis were in the row in front of them, including one Yuhi Kurenai, who was now shooting him a dirty look. Apparently, she had overheard his little bet, and if Hinata was sealed because of this, he'd have hell to pay. Father, why? Asked a concerned Hanabi. She had read his lips using her own Byakugan to see behind her and knew exactly what Hiyashi had agreed to. Because, I have absolute faith in your sister. She will win and everything will be fine. I promise you, said Hiashi. You shouldn't make promises you can't keep, Hiashi commented Moriko, a few rows back. I don't, replied Hiashi with a stern tone. Will Hyuga Shinji and Hyuga Hinata please remain down here while the rest of you can proceed to the waiting area, said Genma. So Hinata's the one who gets to kick Shinji's ass. As much as I was hoping to do so, it's best if she does it, thought Naruto. Besides, Naruto looked over towards Sasuke and received the same look back. It was really happening. In just 5 matches. Hinata, Naruto said to her. Hinata merely responded with a look that told Naruto everything. Shinji had hurt and insulted the ones that were closest to her, and there was no way she'd let him get away with that. As it was now just Hinata and Shinji down on the field, Genma started the match. I feel honored. I get to be the one to show everyone just how pathetic you really are, taunted Shinji. As I said before, call me whatever you want, but I will not let you get away with what you have done to Nezen, declared Hinata, activating her Byakugan and slipping into the Jushu stance. Shinji did the same, only using the Juken stance as the Jushu was below him. Shinji made the first moves, lashing out with a Juken strike at Hinata, who easily moved out of the way. Shinji sent a few more strikes towards the heiress, who managed to float just barely out of his reach. Shinji struck again with an extended arm, and this time, Hinata spun around his attack and struck his upper arm with a wind-infused strike. Shinji managed to move away just in time to avoid another strike. As he gained some room to breathe, he clenched his arm in pain. While he had seen what Hinata's strikes were capable in her previous match, he had not expected them to hurt this bad or do as much damage as they did. Examining his own tenketsu in his upper right arm, it was easy to see that the tenketsu was shattered beyond recognition, and even he doubted that he would ever be able to use that tenketsu ever again. Damn, those attacks of hers really are troubling, thought Shinji as he began to realize just what he had gotten himself into. Shinji made the next move, charging towards Hinata, but stopping just before he reached her and unleashing a kaiden on her that was able to knock her back before she could move out of the way. Hinata was able to recover herself with a handspring as Shinji engaged her, gaining the upper hand. This time, Hinata was forced to parry the blows and Shinji was able to get a few tenketsu on her arms. Hinata jumped backwards, faster than Shinji could move forward, buying herself enough room to retaliate. Jushu, protection of the 8 trigrams. Hinata called out her ultimate defense. Shinji found himself unable to break from his current collision course with the cutting sphere as he collided head-on before being thrown back. This earned him a good number of severe cuts throughout his entire body. Yeah. Go Nezen, cheered Hanabi from the stands, earning a few glares from the Hyuga elders. Hanabi simply put an innocent look on her face. Catching this out of the corner of her eye, Ino was now resisting every urge to scream out kawaii and pinch the younger Hyuga's cheeks. Shinji, in pain, forced himself to his feet. He needed something, or else there was no way we was going to win. Thankfully, he still had his trump card. This ought to be interesting, he said, making a one-handed seal that every Hyuga was familiar with. Activate. What's he doing? He knows the seal won't work on Nezen, thought Hinata as she frantically turned around to a scream echoing from the contestant box. Neji, shouted Naruto, Lee, Sakura, and everyone who realized what was going on. However, mere moments after the pain started, it stopped, but the activation of the seal had achieved its purpose. Juken, 8 trigrams, 64 palm, shouted Shinji as he took this opportunity to strike Hinata with 64 rapid consecutive strikes. Hinata, shouted Naruto from the box. Hiashi looked over at the elders, who had massive grins plastered on their face. That was a dirty trick, playing on Hinata's concern for her brother figure like that. Before Hinata could collapse to the ground, Shinji lashed out with a chakra-laced palm straight to her chest, sending a burst of chakra through Hinata's heart. Hinata dropped to her knees and began coughing up blood. I told you it was worthless. Proctor, I suggest you call the match now before her condition gets any worse, said Shinji, noticing her heart began to convulse irregularly. Genma stood silent. He very much wanted to smack Shinji hard after that little stunt. No, Hinata shouted out, coughing up blood. I will not give. Pathetic. You're a failure now, and you'll always be a failure. I wouldn't be surprised if you're sealed after this match. Perhaps then, you'll finally learn your place, mocked Shinji. No, it's time, you learn, yours. With those words, Hinata disappeared in a puff of smoke. What? Shouted Shinji. He had completely forgotten about Hinata's ability to use shadow clones from the prelims. Hinata came dashing towards Shinji from the trees that lined the outside, where she had been hiding while her clone was toying with him. By the time she was within the 50 meters range that Shinji could see the full 360 in, he was out of time to react, and Hinata slammed a massive wind-infused palm straight into his stomach, which caused Shinji to bend over and clutch it in pain. Yeah, kick his ass, Hinata, shouted Naruto, Kiba, and many others with similar comments. Where have I seen that trick before? Asked Neji. He had recovered quickly from the seal as it had only been activated for a mere few seconds. Seriously? Asked Sakura. That's practically the same move Naruto used on you during the last Chunin exams. Everyone looked momentarily at Naruto, who had a huge grin on his face as he rubbed the back of his head. Although you actually managed to counter it with your Kaiden Jushu, 8 trigrams, 64 palms, called out Hinata, unleashing the Hyuga move, only adding in wind chakra to the attacks. The results were more devastating than anyone could have ever imagined. Shinji collapsed to the ground, his entire body in immense pain as he felt the chakra circulation throughout his body dwindle to almost nothing. Hiashi looked down from the stands and couldn't help but manage a slight smile. He focused his dojutsu on Shinji's chakra network, or at least what was left of it. While not all of Hinata's strikes had connected with Tenksu, all of them hit some point in his chakra network, shredding it to the point where there was barely enough chakra flowing through his chakra network that his body would be able to perform only the basic functions. Hiashi counted 45 Tenketsu completely destroyed, 10 Tenketsu heavily damaged, and 10 more places along the chakra network where the connections had been severed. However, if there was one area that had sustained heavy damage, it was Shinji's Tandon. That first massive chakra burst that Hinata had sent through his stomach hit the Tandon, the very core of a person's chakra, shredding many of the chakra pathways that wrapped around the very center of Shinji's chakra. There was one thing Hiashi knew for sure: at the very best, his days as a shinobi were over. Not even Tsunade had the ability to heal the damage his chakra network had sustained, assuming she would be willing to. Winner, Hyuga Hinata, called out Genma as medics came to collect the broken Shinji. Roaring applause was heard throughout the entire stadium as Hinata was not sure what to do now. Hiashi practically had to force himself not to look behind him at the Hyuga elders' faces, or else he would have made a huge scene by bursting out in a fit of laughter unbefitting of a Hyuga. Hinata looked up towards the contestant box to see Naruto dangling upside down with Neji and Sasuke trying to reel him back up. Needless to say, Naruto had a little too much energy at that point and sent himself flying over the edge of the rail. Sakura was on her way down as Temari simply floated over top the dangling Naruto, gliding to the arena on her fan. Despite everyone's celebrations, that was only the first match and there was more yet to come. The stadium quieted down as Sakura entered the arena. "What took you so long?" "I was afraid I'd have time to go buy my own pink wig," taunted Temari a bit. "You have a problem with pink?" asked a slightly ticked Sakura. She was getting tired of everyone questioning her hair. "Oh dear," she made fun of the hair, commented Haruno Kazashi from a few rows back of the Konoha 12. Everyone turned to see Sakura's parents but was shocked to see that it was her father that Sakura got the pink hair from. "Last time someone did that, I was afraid we'd have to remodel the block." "Oh come now dear, just be quiet and watch our daughter," commented Sakura's mother, Mebuki. Shikamaru sighed. "Troublesome," he said. "What was that?" shouted Temari from the arena, directing her voice directly at Shikamaru. "Begin," called Genma before this turned into an all-out catfight. Sakura made the first move, running at Temari with a cocked fist and driving it forward at the Suna blonde. Temari just smirked and moved her collapsed fan to block. While she was nowhere near Lee's taijutsu level, she could handle herself against some little genjutsu using girl. That is until Sakura's fist made contact with Temari's fan and a shock wave ripped through the Suna Kunoichi's body and sent her sliding back a few feet. "Damn, what the hell was that?" "She hits harder than that Lee kid," thought Temari as she opened her fan before Sakura could make her next move. Temari made a quick spinning motion that whipped up a tornado that threw Sakura back away from Temari and resulted in a few minor cuts on her skin as a result of the wind. Sakura immediately rebounded and threw a volley of senbon towards Temari just as the blonde stopped spinning. Temari, however, saw this coming and whipped her fan just in time, creating a wall of wind to knock away Sakura's attack. Futon, tornado scythe. Temari swung her fan, creating a rather large tornado that twisted and ran towards Sakura. "Kaden, great fireball jutsu," shouted Sakura, blowing a large fireball that shot towards the tornado and intercepted Temari's attack, resulting in a flaming whirlwind that soon dispersed as the two attacks cancelled each other out. When Sakura could see through the flames, Temari was gone. Before Sakura could get a bearing on her opponent, she found herself blasted by a strong gust of dust and sand that blinded her. Futon, sickle weasel technique. Temari's gust of cutting wind caught Sakura unaware, blasting her into the air. As Sakura fell to the ground, Temari smirked. She wouldn't be getting up after that. Looking over, Sakura was out like a log, literally. Temari looked up to see Sakura coming down upon her and Temari collapsed her fan to block the incoming fist as she braced herself with chakra. Sakura's fist met Temari's fan in a downward strike, sending yet another painful shockwave through the kunoichi and causing the ground to buckle beneath Temari. "Damn, billboard brows got some strength," commented Ino. She had agreed to stop calling Sakura by her nickname, but old habits die hard. "Troublesome," replied Shikamaru. earning a ticked-off expression from Ino. Tamari had managed to get away from Sakura. That last blow had hurt and she could feel it in her legs. Both opponents were staring at each other from across the crater in the ground. Sakura merely let out a small smirk as she charged head-on towards Tamari. She doesn't think she can win like this, does she? Thought Tamari as she used the same move from before, spinning and creating a tornado around her that blew Sakura back. Only it didn't blow Sakura back. As Sakura made contact with the wind, she burst apart into countless sakura blossoms that began to swirl with the tornado Tamari had created. A few of the sakura blossoms approached Tamari, who started off by blowing them away with her own fan. Only, instead of blowing them away, the blossoms split into even more petals. Tamari felt a few stinging sensations on her arm, and before she knew it, she collapsed to the ground, unable to move her body, and the flurry of blossoms stopped with Sakura standing behind her and smiling. That one's new, kind of, commented Kakashi. We took her cherry blossom blizzard and upgraded it. It was originally a C rank genjutsu, but I'd say it's now B or maybe even B+. It's much harder to dispel, and every failed attempt at dispelling it only multiples the number of cherry blossoms, commented Kurenai. That technique still has some potential to be developed even further though. She really does have some amazing genjutsu potential. If she can find some way to train that while training her medical jutsu over the next few years. Damn, Sakura's got a lot of work cut out for her, it looks like, thought Kakashi. Let me know if you want to trade students anytime, Kakashi. I'm sure Kiba won't mind, said Kurenai. Hey, that's mean, Kurenai-sensei, retorted Kiba. Everyone laughed at the Jonin's little joke while Kiba pouted a little. Kurenai-sensei, don't be so mean to Kiba, defended Hinata, who was standing at the top of the stands. And there she is. Our little winner, said Kureani, going up to Hinata and giving her student a hug. Nisen, shouted Hanabi as she ran to her sister. Hinata made her way down the stairs, either oblivious of or just simply ignoring the looks the elders were shooting her. She took a seat next to Kurenai and in front of her father. Hyashi looked down at his daughter, and then over to Hanabi. He had saved one, and he already knew how to save the other. It was only a matter of time before the elders tried to make their next move and he would make his. Back in the arena, Genma declared Sakura the winner as Tamari was unable to move due to the paralytic poison in her system. For Sakura, there was a loud applause, not as much for Hinata, but enough where she didn't know what to do besides just stand there and smile. Yosh! Sakura's flames burn as bright as ever, shouted Lee. It was time, his match was finally here, and it was against the one person he had been dying to fight ever since he became a part of Team Guy, his own eternal rival Neji. Neji had already made his way down to the arena the moment he saw that Sakura had Tamari, and Lee followed shortly after the match was called. Up in the stands, everyone could feel the tension around them rise. The source of this tension, Guy, is everything okay? Asked Kakashi. Tears began streaming from Guy. I've waited for this day to come ever since I got my team. My students will finally battle in a contest of youth that knows no bounds. Today, they will burn brighter than the sun itself as their youths soar to even greater heights. If that happens, they'd probably burn down the village, commented Kakashi. Guy clenched his fist and a sparkle appeared in his eye at the time when Lee and Neji took the field. Neji, Lee turned up towards the stand. Guy-sensei. Oh hell no. Thought Neji. One Team Guy group hug was enough, and that was to convince Lee to get the surgery. Unless Lee was going to have another life-risking operation, there was no way he was going to get in the middle of the two green-clad shinobi. Yosh! Now show everyone your spectacle of youth, shouted Guy, causing everyone within hearing distance to sweat drop. Neji, he is right. I have waited for this day since the very moment I was placed on your team, declared Lee. I look forward to a most excellent match. I have too, Lee. I admit I was wrong in the past, but now I understand. I see you now as a worthy rival and have been looking forward to the time when I can prove to myself just how strong I have become, said Neji. He then pointed at Lee's legs. Take them off. What? But Guy-sensei told me never to, replied Lee. I don't care what Guy-sensei said. I expect nothing short of your very best, so take them off, said Neji. Lee, unsure of what to do, but after looking at Neji, he understood. As such, Lee bent down and removed his weights, throwing them aside as if they were nothing. The weights crashed into the ground, shaking the stadium upon impact and leaving a horrified expression on almost everyone's face. They knew Guy was extreme, but those weights were just plain ridiculous. Begin, said Genma, jumping out of the way before he could get caught in between them. Lee and Neji both assumed their positions, and it was Lee who made the first move. Lee dashed off towards Neji at speeds that only a shinobi could follow. Konoha senpu, shouted Lee as he lashed out with a sweeping high kick. Neji blocked Lee's initial kick and used that as a springboard to push him over top of Lee's lower kick and Lee himself. Neji struck at Lee with a few juken strikes that Lee barely parried. Lee saw a slight opening at Neji and struck with a hard fist. Neji barely managed to block, but this resulted in him skidding back a few feet. Immediately, Lee was off. He began running around Neji, becoming a blur that looked as if it was everywhere. While doing so, Neji kept his calm, relying on his Byakugan to keep an eye on where Lee would be coming from. Then, Lee made his move. Kaiden called out Neji, catching Lee in his defense before Lee could land a blow. This sent Lee flying back towards the wall. 8 trigrams vacuum palm. As his rotation came to a halt, Neji thrust his hand forward, sending a blast of compressed chakra towards Lee. Lee just barely managed to push off the wall in time to avoid the small crater that Neji's attack made. "Now I actually do see what you were talking about now," Hiyashi-sama commented Asuma, referring to when Hiyashi was inquiring about Hinata and Naruto's futon, pressure palm. "You're absolutely certain that there were no wind users in your clan before?" Hiyashi honestly wasn't so sure. "There never have been any wind users in our clan," replied Harabi with a harsh voice as he glared at Hiyashi, and then down at Hinata. Hiyashi could tell that something wasn't quite right about that statement though. "I'll look into it," Asuma-san replied Hiyashi. Back in the arena, Lee and Neji had been engaging one another in taijutsu for a few minutes now and they were going at each other hard. Neji had landed a few palm thrusts on Lee, but at the same time, Lee's attacks were slowly beginning to wear on Neji. Neji had either managed to dodge or parry most of Lee's attacks, but the ones that he was forced to block were beginning to strain his arm. Even after reinforcing it with chakra, Lee used Neji's next palm thrust to push him away from Neji, a considerable distance for him to prepare himself for what was next. Lee began unwrapping his bandages and everyone who knew Lee knew what was coming. "Gate of opening, open," Lee shouted, opening the first of the 8 gates. He took off towards Neji at blinding speeds that only a few select people in the audience could see him. Sasuke even needed his Sharingan now to be able to clearly watch Lee. Before Neji could react, Lee slammed a foot into Neji's stomach, sending him into the air. Lee then shadowed and wrapped Neji up in bandages before he began the spiraling descent into the ground. "Damn! I need something quick or he's going to spiral me into the ground," thought Neji. "Wait, spiral." As Lee and Neji barreled towards the ground, Neji unleashed a strong burst of chakra from his Tenketsu. Kaiden. The blue dome of chakra managed to form and Lee was forced away from Neji, throwing him across the stadium and into the far wall as Neji still continued to fall towards the ground, creating a crater when he and the Kaiden met the ground beneath them. Neji struggled to pick himself out of the crater. The Kaiden had broken most of the fall, but he still sustained some damage. First, there was his right arm. That arm had taken quite a beating already, and the way in which he landed, he was pretty sure it was fractured, if not close to broken already. There was also a limp in this right leg, indicating that his hip was injured as well. The last of the more significant injuries was a trickle of blood coming from beneath the side of his forehead protector, indicating some sort of head injury. Lee wasn't much better off. Normally, he would have disengaged Neji just before impact and landed safely. However, Neji's Kaiden threw him off in an uncontrollable flight directly into a stone wall. Like Neji, Lee struggled to pick himself out of the hole in the wall and the entire stadium was on edge. "Neji, you truly are a worth rival. You have found a way to counter my initial lotus and use it against me. Forgive me, Guy-sensei, but I must use it. I must prove to everyone that I can be a splendid ninja," thought Lee. Neji looked on as Lee gathered himself and a massive chakra pulse was felt throughout the stadium as Lee opened the next few gates. "Gate of healing, open. Gate of life, open. Gate of pain, open." Lee's skin turned red and many people gasped. "Guy-sensei, is Lee really going to?" asked a concerned Tenten. Guy let out a breath. "Looks like it. That counter of Neji's took a lot out of both of them. Lee's always seen Neji as his rival and with this match, they are willing to push each other to the very limit. I wouldn't be surprised if it ended here. Please let it end here." While Guy wanted to see his students fight to his very best, they were already pushing themselves way past a safe limit. "That baka! I told him no more than one gate," shouted Tsunade. She was still monitoring Lee's progress after the operation and was still concerned about how much stress his body could take at this point. One gate was pushing it, but 4. Neji took the time that Lee was using to open the gates to center himself and gather chakra. Lee shot towards Neji, at speeds that made his previous speed look like a turtle. He shot his fist towards Neji as Neji unleashed his attack. Kaiden. A smaller, yet more condensed and stronger sphere of chakra enveloped Neji as he spun and a massive explosion ensued that sent a blur flying back into wall. "Hyuga-sama, what was that?" "That wasn't Neji's normal Kaiden," commented Guy. "You're right, it wasn't. Ever since Naruto bested Neji in the previous exams, Neji has been constantly looking to improve himself in the Hyuga absolute defense. What you just saw was the result of his endeavor," explained Hiyashi. "He gives his chakra an earthen nature before expelling it, hardening and reinforcing it. He also condenses it as well for added strength, which is why the dome is much smaller than normal. His normal Kaiden most likely would have failed to an attack of that power. But, down in the arena, Neji stood in the middle of a large crater that was created by the explosion. He was panting heavily and down on his knees. When the dust settled at the wall, Lee was lying in a pile of rubble unconscious as Genma came to check on Lee. "I declare Hyuga Neji the winner," said Genma. Cheers erupted through the stands. That had been a good match and both fighters were worthy of praise afterwards. Neji collapsed even further, his entire body exhausted and in pain. Lee, the one who he used to see as a failure who should just give up on being a ninja, had managed to push him, the Hyuga prodigy, to the very edge. Had this fight dragged on for just a moment longer, it was very likely that Neji would have lost. He had used up the remaining chakra in that last defense, his body was shaken from the following explosion, and he was pretty sure he had a broken arm amongst other things. "We will be taking a 30-minute intermission to repair the field," announced Genma as a few ninja came onto the arena, most likely Earth users. The previous matches, primarily Lee and Neji's, had torn the field to shreds with a series of craters and uplifted ground. Guy was down in the arena moments later as he came to Neji's side and placed a hand on Neji's shoulder before helping Neji over to Lee. "How is he?" asked Guy. Tsunade had come down to check on Lee's condition to make sure no permanent damage had been done to the bushy-eyebrowed Jinan. "He's lucky. Nothing permanent was done, but he's not going to be leaving the hospital for a few weeks while he recovers," diagnosed Tsunade. "Oog, Guy-sensei, Tsunade-sama, Neji," Lee said as he slowly regained consciousness. "Did I? I'm sorry, Lee, but this match is mine," replied Neji. "I see, Guy-sensei, I am sorry," replied Lee. "Nonsense. I'm so proud of you, Lee. You fought with all your heart and you proved yourself out there today," shouted Guy with tears flowing anime style from his eyes. "Lee, you pushed me farther than anyone has ever pushed me. You fought an excellent match today and I am proud that I was your opponent. You truly are becoming a splendid ninja," said Neji. "Neji," said Lee, looking straight at his teammate. "Yosh. I will redouble my training efforts and next time we meet, I will come out victorious. If I do not, I will, it," growled Tsunade. "You won't be leaving the hospital for the next few weeks while your body recovers. Don't worry, Lee, rest today. Your youthful flames have burned so bright today. Rest them now, and we will make them burn even brighter tomorrow," declared Guy. "Guy-sensei." Lee, Neji began backing away slowly. "Guy-sensei." Lee, before Neji could get far enough away, Guy had him in a headlock as he and Lee embraced one another with an ocean sunset in the background. Poor Neji sighed ten as she witnessed Neji getting caught in the very center of whatever sort of genjutsu Guy and Lee were creating. Every ninja in the stands was trying their best to dispel it, but to no avail. Neji and Lee were taken away to receive medical treatment and the Earth users began their work on repairing the stadium. It was at around this time that Hyuga Duranji had returned to the stadium. "Harabi-sama, I have prepared the sealing brand for Hinata." "What?" shouted everyone within hearing distance. The most shocked of them all was Hinata herself. The Jonin were glad that Naruto wasn't around to hear that, or else Konoha might very well be dealing with a second Kyuubi attack this very moment. "Seal?" replied Hinata. She knew that if she was sealed, just about any hopes she had of being with Naruto were gone. She looked pleadingly towards her father. Had he really just given the go-ahead to have her sealed? Doranji's attention was turned to the elders, who were fuming at the very thought. "Thank you, Doranji, but that won't be necessary. However, if you would modify the seal for a male, about a year older than Hinata, then that would be perfect," said Hyashi. "Father? What's going on? Are you really having me sealed?" asked Hinata, as a few tears came to her eyes. Hyashi sent a reassuring smile at her daughter. "No, not today and not ever," said Hyashi, producing the scroll that had the bet between he and the elders. Hinata read it over and was shocked at her father. "I had absolute faith in you. And I was getting tired of those old fools trying to break up my family." "I wouldn't say that, Hyashi. Seeing as Hinata can no longer be sealed, we are forced to have Hanabi sealed. After all, no family can have more than one unsealed child," said Iroh, turning his attention towards a particular brown-haired Hyuga girl. "No," gasped Hinata as she looked towards her younger sister, who now had a horrified look on her face. Iroh smirked. "Of course, we could always spare Hanabi, should Hinata volunteer herself willingly. Even after they had lost the bet, they would get her. There was no way the kind and gentle Hinata would let her sweet little sister be sealed." Hyashi merely laughed at this, something that was rarely seen from a Hyuga. "Check-in, mate. You really wouldn't seal the heir to the Hyuga clan now, would you?" laughed Hyashi. "Hey, not bad at all," said Shikamaru. If anyone got what Hyashi was thinking, it was the Nara Chunin. "What are you talking about, Hyashi?" barked Moriko. "You know exactly what I'm talking about. After all, you've been asking me to make a decision for the past 4 years. I've decided, and as of now, Hanabi is and will be the heir to the clan, explained Hiashi. What? But that's Nizin's position, argued Hanabi. It was true that she did in fact want to be the heir of the clan, but Hanabi wasn't willing to let it be taken away from her sister like this. All this time, poor Hinata's head was spinning. First she thought her father was proud of her for becoming strong. Then she finds out that the elders have prepared the sealing brand for her. Afterwards, her father tells her that she is not going to be sealed and that he made a deal to grant her immunity from being sealed. Just moments after that, the elders claim they're going to seal Hanabi unless she takes Hanabi's place. And then her father declares Hanabi the clan heir, right in front of her. By doing so, this would mean that she gets branded into the branch house. But, oh. Now she got it. Hinata rested her hand on Hanabi's head. Don't worry, Hanabi-chan. Everything will be alright. Besides, you were always the one who wanted to be the future clan head anyways, said Hinata. It was true. Hinata honestly didn't care about becoming clan head. The only reason she didn't just forfeit it willingly was because she would be sealed and any chances at her having a future with a particular blonde would be sealed away with her. But Nizan, if I'm clan head, then that means you're going to be. Rambled Hanabi until Hinata held up the blood-bound contract in front of her. Oh, wait. What the hell is going on? Shouted Kiba. Hiashi grumbled. He still hadn't fully forgiven Kiba for that one incident, although things were looking better between those two. Fine, I'll explain. The bet I made, before Hinata's fight, stated that if she won, she would be granted full immunity from being branded. If she lost, then she would be branded. I decided to accept, because I can honestly say that, for the first time, I have absolute faith in Hinata's abilities. That and I was getting tired of the elders' constant attempts to have her branded. Seeing as Hinata won, she's now immune from being sealed. Now, up until this point, I have not officially declared the clan heir. It should have gone to Hinata by birthright, but because of my foolish actions, that birthright was stripped from her and she would have to earn it when she turned 16 if I had not declared a clan heir by then. However, I have decided now that the elders were right about something and that Hanabi would make the better clan heir, thus making her immune from being sealed. So, in other words, thought Kiba for a moment. The elders won't be laying their fingers on either of my daughters anytime soon, said Hiashi, sending a glare that only a father who was protective of his daughters could send. Hiashi had the elders by their rotten tongues and they did the only thing they could do now. Make a hasty retreat back into whatever hole they crawled out of and scheme up their next plot. I see. I shall go put away the brand right away, sir, said Duranji. Like I said, that won't be necessary. Someone will be sealed, but they have done everything to deserve it, said Hiashi. Everyone knew who Hiashi was referring to. He then pulled Duranji away for a moment. I need to ask you a question and I need you to answer me honestly. Your wife is pregnant, isn't she? Hi, Hiashi-sama, responded Duranji. He had honestly been hoping to hide that fact for a while. And you do in fact love your family and the child your wife is about to bear, am I correct? Asked Hiashi. Duranji seemed very upset by Hiashi's question. Why would you even ask that? Of course I love my family. He soon realized where Hiashi was getting at. His wife was currently only 2 months pregnant with their second child. A second child in the Hyuga main branch meant that he would have to have one of his children branded at some point. You see where I'm getting at, don't you? Asked Hiashi. Duranji nodded. You were always hesitant when following your father's orders, but you did so because he is your father. Perhaps it's time you start doing what you want to do. You love your family, I know you do. And I know you don't want to see anything happen to them, said Hiashi, placing a hand on Duranji's shoulder. Change is coming. I can feel it. And when it comes, I would very much appreciate your support. Hiashi began to walk away, leaving the main branch Hyuga to his thoughts. Hiashi-sama, said Duranji in a quiet tone. Hiashi paused for a brief moment. Will my family be able to remain just that? A family? If everything works out right, then yes, replied Hiashi with firm voice. If whatever's coming will help my family, then I'll help, replied Duranji. Good. For now, nothing will happen. I'm still missing a big piece. But be prepared, that time will come shortly, replied Hiashi as he returned to his family. Both Ianta and Hanabi were still celebrating their father's victory over the elders. Perhaps now, they could truly act like sisters without worry about the other. Moments later, the stadium began to cheer as Genma announced that the fourth match would now be starting. In a flurry of sand and bugs, Gaara and Shino took the field. Oh good, I didn't miss it, commented Fu, who had just arrived at the stadium, being escorted by Shizune. The two had managed to pick up Sakura somewhere along the way through the stadium. Yeah, Lee and Neji did a number to the field and they had to take an intermission, commented Kiba. How have the matches gone so far? Asked Fu. Hinata here won hers, said Kurenai, pointing to a smiling Hinata. Sakura won hers as well against Tamari. And Neji won his, but barely. But Shino's opponent is going to be hard. I honestly wouldn't want to go up against Gaara, added Kiba. Genma looked at the two competitors before signaling the start of the match. For what seemed like the first minute, the two just stared at each other in silence as everyone anticipated the first move. Shino and Gaara just looked at each other before dispersing in a cloud of insects and sand. Both were a bug and sand clone, respectively, and both had been thinking the same thing. The real Shino and Gaara came out from their hiding spots as they were now surrounded by their sand and bugs. Gaara lashed out with his sand, which Shino found himself dodging. Over the past months, if there was one thing Shino had been working on, it was his agility and ability to better defend himself, as that was probably his biggest weakness. While Shino was doing this, his insects were sent towards Gaara, who was fending them off with blasts of sand. What was happening here was that Shino's bugs were sucking the chakra out of the sand, rendering it useless for Gaara until he could re-infuse it with chakra. However, at the same time, the blows Shino's insects were taking from Gaara's sand would kill a few of them each time they got his. Shino continued his backpedaling until he ran into a wall of sand that Gaara had established behind him, cutting the Aburame off. Shino soon found him encased in Gaara's sand cocoon. "I suggest you surrender," said Gaara, making a fist and squeezing slightly on his sand for emphasis. "It would seem you have captured me, but you can never be sure," said Shino as the sand surrounding him began to crumble away. The moment Shino found himself captured, the insects he kept on himself immediately went to work draining the chakra out of Gaara's sand to a point where the sand was weak enough to break free from. "Ninpo, hidden beetle sphere," called out Shino as a mass of his insects erupted from ground beneath Gaara and surrounded him, encasing Gaara in a sphere of insects. "Sand shuriken," called out Gaara as countless sand blasts came shooting out from around Gaara, knocking Shino's insects away and even catching Shino with one or two. Before Shino was able to surround Gaara with his insects, Gaara had surrounded himself with enough sand and acted quick enough to use it to repel the insects. Had he have waited too long, Shino's insects would have rendered the sand useless. Gaara had to admit that Konoha did in fact have some worthy adversaries. However, he was ready to end this match. Gaara slammed his hands onto the ground beneath him. "Sand tsunami." As he called out his next move, a massive tidal wave of sand ripped from the ground underneath Gaara and crashed towards Shino, catching him and all of his bugs in the wave of sand. "Desert burial," shouted Gaara as he pushed down onto the ground, compressing the sand and crushing almost everything beneath it. Out of the sand rose another sand cocoon. That sand tsunami wasn't meant to kill Shino, just the bugs, so Gaara simply captured Shino. "I'll say it again. Surrender or your insects won't be the only things I crush." Sensing something behind him, Gaara immediately turned around to see Shino running towards him. Shino's last remaining bugs shot out of his arm and towards Gaara, who swatted them away and wrapped the real Shino up in sand. He then opened the top of the sand coffin that he initially thought had Shino in it, only to reveal that he had captured a bug clone. Before Gaara could crush the bug clone, Shino spoke. "Wait, I surrender," said Shino as Gaara stopped himself before crushing Shino's insects and releasing them from his grasp. "I thank you for not crushing them. They are the last of my hive and are worth more than this match." "I see," said Gaara as he gathered his sand back into his gourd. "That was a good match. You were most certainly a stronger opponent than most I have faced." "Winner, Sabaku no Gaara," announced Genma as the audience cheered. "So, what do you think?" asked Asuma. "Shino fought a good match and it was obvious, but that Gaara is just too strong of an opponent," commented Kakashi. As Gaara and Shino cleared the field, Naruto and Sasuke looked at each other one last time before heading down. It really did come down to this. All their past contests had been just that, contests. Who could climb the tree first? Who could learn a jutsu first? But this, a full-out battle between the two of them. They would finally find out who was truly the stronger. "So what are you thinking, Kakashi?" asked Asuma. "They are your students after all." Kakashi thought for a moment while everyone tuned towards the one-eyed Jonin to get his opinion. "If I know those two, they'll probably end up killing each other. This should be interesting." Kakashi smiled and a horrified look overtook everyone else's face. Couldn't he have a little more faith in his students? They saw Naruto and Sasuke take the field and a deafening shriek, that only a banshee mother would be proud of, ripped through the stands. Its source, Sasuke's fan club. These were the useless fangirls who had flunked out of the academy after realizing their precious Sasuke would no longer be there. However, now they were about to watch their precious Sasuke put Naruto Baka in his place, just like every spar from the academy, or so they thought. "So this is really happening," said Naruto as he turned to face his opponent. "Naruto," Sasuke called out and their eyes met. "I acknowledge you, I have always acknowledged you, which is why out of everyone, you're the one I've wanted to fight the most. You'd better not hold back, Dobi." Naruto smiled. "And if there was anyone who I wanted to acknowledge me, it was you. It's about time we get this chance to settle things. You'd better not disappoint me, team." "Begin," called out Genma. Before he could get out of the way, Naruto and Sasuke had bolted towards each other at speeds that even Lee would be jealous of. Naruto threw the first punch, which Sasuke blocked with his palm and retaliated with a knee that Naruto blocked with his free arm. Sasuke then quickly placed his foot down for balance and used the other foot to kick Naruto on the side. Naruto saw this coming and placed his now free hand in the path of Sasuke's sweeping kick, removing his fist from Sasuke's hand and using the kick to disengage the two of them. Sasuke pulled out a kunai, Naruto doing the same, and they went at it again as the sound of clanging metal was heard throughout the stadium. Sasuke blocked Naruto's following swipe, but leaned back just in time to avoid the real attack. Naruto wasn't using a regular kunai, he was using the tri-pronged kunais, enhanced with wind chakra. As a result, Naruto's kunai sliced clean through Sasuke's kunai, and nearly his head if it hadn't been for his reaction time and the Sharingan. Now it was Sasuke's turn to disengage. Damn! That kunai's going to be a pain in the ass, thought Sasuke, looking at the foot-long wind blade coming out of Naruto's kunai. That weapon gave Naruto an advantage at close range, as a wind blade wasn't something Sasuke could block all that easily. Sasuke was already thinking of a way to get that kunai from Naruto. He knew Naruto had more than one, 3 if he remembered correctly, but if he could get one off of Naruto, then that would take away Naruto's weapon advantage. Sasuke unleashed a few shuriken at Naruto and Naruto grinned when Sasuke's attack missed. But then Naruto remembered that Sasuke would normally use ninja wire with his shuriken in this case and swiped with his kunai, cutting the wire that Sasuke had attacked to the shuriken before he could do anything. Sasuke merely grinned as he flicked his finger in one of the shuriken that Naruto had not cut wrapped itself around Naruto's kunai. Sasuke then tugged back on the string, pulling the tri-pronged kunai from Naruto's grasp and into his own. Naruto growled as Sasuke smirked. "I see, so that was your target," commented Naruto as he pulled out his second tri-pronged kunai. "I will admit, these knives are pretty nice. Perhaps I should keep this one," said Sasuke, ticking Naruto off a little. He channeled some chakra into his and making it glow red hot. He had made sure to use fire chakra in the knife instead of lightning due to the elemental advantage fire has over wind. The two ran towards each other again, chakra pulsing through their kunais. The two kunais clashed and the mixing of wind chakra and fire chakra sent a flare straight into Naruto's face. Sasuke used this distraction to give Naruto a good strong kick in the stomach, sending his blonde rival kidding back. By the time Naruto got to his feet, Sasuke was going through hand seals and Naruto raced through his own. Kaden, Fire Dragon Bullet. Futon, Wind Dragon Bullet. The two jutsu met in the middle, creating a giant fireball that forced the two opponents back. The audience, unless they were an Aburame who already wore sunglasses, was forced to shield their eyes at the intensity of the blaze in the middle. Sasuke looked on as the blaze began to die but was caught when a barrage of over 100 shuriken hurled towards him. Unlike most ninja, who would normally panic at this point, Sasuke kept his calm, analyzing the incoming shuriken shadow clone jutsu with his Sharingan. With a few quick motions of the chakra kunai, Sasuke managed to block or deflect every single kunai that was heading towards him. Eek! Sasuke's the best! Shrieked his fan club after Sasuke had shown how smooth he was in blocking Naruto's assault. Ino and Sakura looked over towards the hopeless fangirls and sweat dropped. "Please tell me we were never like that," asked Sakura to Ino. "Are you kidding me? You two were the queens of the fangirls," commented Kiba. That was probably something he shouldn't have said as he felt two hard fists slam into the top of his head. Ino and Sakura smiled at each other and turned their attention back to the fight. On the other side of the fireball, Naruto grinned. He knew no one that had taken that jutsu head on and made it out completely unscathed, so it came as a surprise when Sasuke came bursting through the smoke in the middle and knocked Naruto to the ground, hard. Sasuke placed the kunai near Naruto's throat and Naruto could feel the heat radiating off of it. "Looks like I win," commented Sasuke. "Yeah? The day that happens will be the day I kiss your ass," retorted Naruto, disappearing in a puff of smoke. Sasuke tisked. To be honest, he was expecting something like that. Now the question was, where is the real Naruto? He looked around, trying to pick out any source of chakra around the field, but the only other source of chakra was the knife he was carrying. Immediately, Sasuke's eyes snapped open as he tossed the knife aside. However, he was too late. Before the knife could leave his hands, it poofed back into Naruto and Sasuke felt a fist connect with his face. "Wait. That transformation wasn't a genjutsu," stated a surprised Kurenai. "You're right." Which probably explains why he had such a hard time learning a jutsu as simple as a transformation, commented Iruka. "I recently discovered the reason why Naruto could never pull a normal transformation back in the academy was because his chakra reserves were always too large to allow for a jutsu that only required such a small amount of chakra. I was ecstatic the moment Naruto actually pulled off a decent transformation, but I had no idea until I brought him back for show and tell day that his transformation was actually a true transformation. Iruka-sensei, what's a true transformation? Asked Ino. It's an advanced transformation that actually transforms you into the targeted object, not just a simple genjutsu. It's also a Jonin level skill. Everyone thought Naruto was a complete and utter failure as a ninja, yet he actually graduated with 2 Jonin level skills under his belt, commented Iruka. Why? If Naruto was actually that skilled, then why was he the dead last? Asked Ino. Iruka remained silent. Because he was sabotaged by his teachers, commented Kakashi. Sabotaged? Shouted all the Genin there. Why would someone try to sabotage Naruto? You all know the reason why, commented Kakashi as he turned to a now surprised Iruka. Yes, they know, and don't worry yourself. You were the first teacher to actually come around and truly care about Naruto's education, but there was nothing you could have done about the other half dozen or so teachers Naruto had, including one who even tried to have him branded as a traitor. They all turned their attention back to the fight to see Naruto create 3 clones which charged at Sasuke. While Naruto was making them, Sasuke caught the slight change in hand signs and knew he couldn't let those clones get near him. As such, he began retreating, but the clones were getting closer, and by the time Naruto felt they were close enough, they exploded. Naruto smirked. That got him. That had to have gotten him. Naruto's, and everyone else's, eyes shot wide open when as a brilliant flame erupted from the center of the smoke as a flaming bird shot forth into the sky. Kaden, Ascension of the Phoenix. Called out Sasuke as the giant flaming phoenix shot forth towards Naruto, igniting the very ground beneath it. What's that? Asked Sakura. I didn't think he'd actually use it. That is the most powerful fire jutsu that Sasuke has at the moment. It's an A-rank jutsu that even I don't know, as it's an Uchiha clan technique. Kaden, Ascension of the Phoenix, commented Kakashi. Naruto, cried out Hinata. Naruto shook off the surprise and pulled out a different kunai from his side pouch. At first glimpse, this was just an ordinary kunai, but if one looked close enough, they could see that it was covered in a sealing matrix. Naruto then began going through a series of hand seals that no one even recognized. 2. Sha, Zen, Retsu, Zai, thought Naruto, making the necessary hand seals. Uzumaki Fuinjutsu, Absorption Seal, Fire. As the phoenix closed in on Naruto, the kunai Naruto had in his hand began to glow and an Uzumaki-style seal erupted from it in front of Naruto. The phoenix and the seal met head-on and everyone watched as Sasuke's fire jutsu swirled with the seal, until the seal had absorbed it entirely, resulting in a smirking Naruto and wide-eyed Sasuke. What was that? I didn't even recognize those hand seals, said a surprised Kakashi. An Uzumaki Fuinjutsu, said Jiraiya, rubbing the bruise on the side of his head. Naruto's little clone stunt had reminded Tsunade to punish the one who taught Naruto that jutsu, and as such Jiraiya needed to move away from the cage box, where he was previously, to spare him of any more injury. Everyone turned to Jiraiya for answer. And those hand seals were a part of a 9-hand seal set unique to the Uzumaki-style Fuinjutsu. How could a clan-less loser stop a brilliant jutsu like that of my precious Sasuke? Squealed one of the fangirls. Jiraiya sighed at the fangirl's outburst. Jiraiya-sama, what did you mean by an Uzumaki Fuinjutsu? Asked Tenten. It's exactly what I meant. An Uzumaki Fuinjutsu, a Fuinjutsu of the Uzumaki clan. And a very useful one at that, said Jiraiya. Uzumaki clan? You mean Naruto has a clan? Asked Ino. Well, kind of. To be honest, Naruto's the last of his clan. The Uzumakas were once a very powerful clan from Uzushiogakure no Sato that had close ties with our village. In fact, the Shodaime Hokage's wife was an Uzumaki. Uzumaki Mito to be exact, said Jiraiya. Were they really a powerful clan? Asked Kiba. Yes. And you just saw what made them powerful. They were a clan of Fun Masters and this made them feared throughout the elemental nations, said Jiraiya. But what happened to them? If Naruto's the last one, then something had to have happened, asked Kuji. Didn't you guys learn about this in the academy? Asked Jiraiya. Everyone shook their heads and even Iruka gave Jiraiya a confused look. There was nothing regarding an Uzumaki clan in the curriculum at all, said Iruka. I may have mentioned the name when lecturing on the Shodaime, but nothing. There's something funny going on here, thought Jiraiya. I'll explain the rest after the match. Looks like Naruto and Sasuke are starting to get back into it. Sasuke grinned at Naruto. Naruto had just brushed away his most powerful fire jutsu like it was nothing. The Dobi was indeed more of a challenge than Sasuke had ever hoped for. That the best you've got, team? Haunted Naruto. HN, you wish, Dobi replied Sasuke. Kaden, Dragon Fire Breath. Futon, Great Breakthrough. The two jutsu met in the middle again and Naruto and Sasuke pumped more power into their jutsu, battling for dominance and increasing the size of the fireball in the middle. However, it was then that Sasuke cancelled his jutsu, giving Naruto control over the gigantic fireball and sending it in Sasuke's direction. The moment Sasuke released the jutsu, he started going through another series of hand seals. Katen, Dragon's Wrath. Before the fireball could get to him, Sasuke unleashed yet another fire jutsu, aimed straight towards the oncoming supercharged fireball. The two jutsus met and yet another explosion ensued. As Naruto looked on, out of the smoke came Sasuke's jutsu, shaped like a large dragon's head, only much more powerful than any other dragon head-shaped jutsu that Sasuke had yet to unleash. Quickly, Naruto activated the absorption seal to take care of Sasuke's fire jutsu. The jutsu and seal met and the seal won as it absorbed Sasuke's jutsu. As soon as the sealing was complete, Naruto dropped Hikunai. The one downside to that absorption seal was that it could only absorb so much fire jutsu before it overheated to a point where it was beginning to glow red hot and Naruto's hands were burning just by touching it. Raiten, Lightning Cannon, called out Sasuke as he formed the sphere of condensed electricity in his hands and shot it towards Naruto. Naruto reacted just in time to grab his tri-pronged kunai. Futon, Wind Cutter, shouted Naruto, driving his kunai straight into the oncoming jutsu. The beam of lightning that was aimed at Naruto split as the wind jutsu and Sasuke's jutsu collided, sending the remnants of the jutsu safely on either side of Naruto. All throughout the stadium, similar thoughts were going around. There was no way these two competitors were only Jonin. The way they were fighting, people were thinking if these two were competing for the rank of Jonin or something even higher. What's the matter? Don't have one of those fancy seals for lightning? Grinned Sasuke. Naruto returned the grin. Hey, only had time for fire. I was too busy working on the suppression seal to beat that slug team. Still more than enough for you though, replied Naruto. Sasuke smirked and activated his flame fist, which was the same as his flame step, only with the fire surrounding his hands. Naruto readied his wind blade and the two engaged in close combat once again. Naruto and Sasuke dodged each other's blows until Naruto caught Sasuke's upper right arm, stopping the flaming fist from smashing into his face, and Sasuke grabbed Naruto's wrist to stop the wind blade from slicing through his neck. The fist that Sasuke caught Naruto's wrist was still on fire and Naruto cringed as his skin burned. What's the matter? Can't take the heat? Asked Sasuke. Naruto smirked back before disappearing in a puff of smoke. Sasuke had been sparring with a clone all this time. The real Naruto came from behind his clone, using it to shield himself from Sasuke's gaze. Futon, Pressure Palm, shouted Naruto as he shoved a palm holding compressed wind chakra towards Sasuke. Sasuke reacted just in time to block with his still flaming fist. The two jutsus clashed and both competitors were thrown back by a violent explosion of flames from the meeting of fire and wind. Both competitors stood facing each other, singed and panting. The use of multiple high-ranked jutsu by both of them were beginning to take their toll. However, they weren't going to give up just because they were a little tired. Multi-shadow clone jutsu, shouted Naruto as 24 clones appeared and rushed Sasuke. Sasuke fought off the clones with ease. What's the matter? You're not getting tired on me, are you? Exclamation mark. Sasuke's attention was sent towards Naruto, who had just completed a long series of hand seals. Sasuke jumped back quick enough to avoid the 20-foot diameter column of pressurized air that Naruto had sent shooting down towards him. Both Naruto and Sasuke collapsed to one knee, feeling the fatigue of this fight start to wear on them. So you are getting tired on me? Come on, even Kakashi's workouts were easier than this, said Sasuke. Hey, you should see yourself, you can barely stand, commented Naruto. So it's come to this, commented Sasuke, forcing himself to a standing position. Hey, it's not over yet, replied Naruto, doing the same. The two competitors locked eyes and they knew it was going to come down to one last move. It was time to find out who truly was stronger. Sasuke went through a few more seals and grabbed his right wrist while the hand was pointing down. The sound of birds filled the stadium as Sasuke activated his Chidori. Naruto held out his palm and formed the spiraling chakra sphere that had been passed on to him from his dad to his perverted teacher and finally to him. The Rasengan formed in a blue sphere and the two were ready. They're not serious, are they? Gasped Kurenai. I said they'd most likely kill each other, didn't I? Chuckled Kakashi. The entire stadium was on the edge of their seats as the two made one last dash for each other, their most powerful jutsus in hand. Naruto, gasped Hinata. Sasuke, gasped Sakura. Naruto and Sasuke thrusted their hands towards each other and the two jutsu met as a massive explosion ensued. Rasengan, Chidori, Oog, where am I? Said a dreary Naruto as he opened his eyes. He slowly tried to pick himself up from the lying position he was in, but his entire body hurt like hell. Naruto could tell he was lying in a bed and from the looks of it, he was in the hospital. Still, Despite the pain, Naruto found he was able to move his head without much effort, and he began looking around more until he found a bed placed opposite of his on the other side of the room. In it was Sasuke, and like Naruto, he was bandaged up as well and sleeping from the looks of it. Sasuke called out Naruto. No response. Oi! Sasuke, still no response. Naruto looked around to the table next to him. Sitting on the table were a few cards, a box of candy, and a fruit basket. Naruto figured he'd start with the candy first as he struggled to toss the pieces at Sasuke. A few pieces of the candy hit Sasuke on the face. Still nothing. Naruto needed something heavier, and those apples in the fruit basket looked like they would do the job. Ouch! What the hell? Shouted Sasuke as an apple landed smack dab on his nose. Sasuke shot up to see an innocent-looking Naruto across the room. He sent a glare at the blonde before looking around to see that they were in the hospital. What happened? I don't know. Last thing I remember was using the Rasengan and it colliding with your Chidori. You? Asked Naruto. Same here. I used the Chidori against your Rasengan, and the next thing I know, some idiot pelts me with an apple. Sasuke glared directly at Naruto, who was trying his best to look innocent while rubbing the back of his head. Unfortunately, the fruit basket on the table next to him didn't help much. Oh good, you two are awake, said Tsunade as she entered the room. She was smiling and in an unusually cheerful mood. Tsunade walked over to Sasuke and smiled at him before smacking him upside the head. Naruto burst out in laughter before being smacked as well. What was that for, Bakken? Yelled Naruto as a tick appeared on Tsunade's forehead. Apparently her time of not being called Bakken was up. Quiet brat. And that was for nearly blowing each other up, yelled Tsunade as Naruto and Sasuke shrank back into their respective beds at the sight of an angry Tsunade. You guys can come in now. Hinata and Sakura were the first ones in, and they were immediately beside their boyfriend's crush's bedside. The remaining members of the Konoha 14 followed along with the Jonin Sensei and Jiraiya. Damn, that was some fight, the two of you had, commented Kiba. Speaking of which, who won? I kicked Sasuke team's ass, right? Asked Naruto. TSK. Like you could ever kick my ass, Dobi replied Sasuke. Yeah? Come over here and I'll gladly kick it for you right now. Replied Naruto. Enough, shouted Tsunade. The match was called a draw as that blast from the Rasengan and Chidori slammed you both back into the wall and knocked you both out. A stupid thing to do. You're both lucky you weren't killed. Naruto and Sasuke merely grinned nervously at Tsunade. Neither Naruto nor Sasuke liked the fact that their match was called as a draw, but they had to accept it for now. Hey, Naruto was the first one to speak. I guess that means I'll just have to train even harder so I can kick your ass around the village 100 times when I get back. EFT. You mean I'll be kicking your ass around the village, right? Retorted Sasuke. Everyone in the room nearly sweat dropped. They knew it would be too good to be true. If anything, that previous match had only made their rivalry more intense. Sasuke was the first to calm down. 3 years, huh? Naruto also regained himself. Yeah, replied Naruto. No one was happy that either Naruto or Sasuke would be leaving for 3 years, especially a certain pair of girls. Hinata had finally gotten Naruto and they had grown close over the past months, but now he was going to be leaving. Sakura, while she had dropped the useless fangirl attitude ages ago, she still had deep feelings for Sasuke, something that Ino mentioned Sasuke was starting to return, if only a little. Both of the girls would be without the ones they cared about for 3 years, and one might be left unsure of the feelings her crush had towards her. Just promise me you won't come back a useless loser. I want to fight you again, but only after you've become stronger, smirked Sasuke. Naruto returned the grin. I'll fight you anytime you're ready to lose. And it'll be you who's left in my dust, replied Naruto. Troublesome thought the obvious choice. Speaking of time, how long were we out? Asked Naruto. You've been out since yesterday afternoon, replied Tsunade. Actually, I expected Sasuke to be out for at least another day. Yeah, well, it's pretty hard to sleep when you've got a knucklehead baka pelting you with apples, retorted Sasuke. So does that mean you announced who gets promoted? Am I finally getting promoted? Come on, tell me, Bakken. Asked Naruto in annoying brat mode. The energy returning to him. Calm down. And no, I have not announced the promotions yet. As I told everyone else, you'll find out tomorrow after the council and I discuss the results of the exam. Speaking of which, I have a council meeting to attend, said Suand. Naruto, you're free to go after an initial checkup. We all know how fast you can recover. Sasuke, seeing as you don't have a giant fox sealed inside him, you won't be cleared to leave until at least tomorrow, and even then you're going to be taking it easy for the rest of the week. Tsunade left the hospital towards the Hokage tower as Naruto was taken into another room to be checked over. As usual, he was healed for the most part now thanks to the Kyuubi's chakra in his system and was allowed to leave. However, He would have to take it easy for a few days. After a little more talking when Naruto came back, everyone began to leave. Sakura would be the last one out, leaving Sasuke and Kakashi to discuss a few things. "Sakura, can you stay for just a moment?" Sasuke called out. He looked towards Kakashi and the one-eyed scarecrow nodded before leaving. Now that the exams were over, after everything that had happened, he figured a moment or two alone might be good for them. On the way out of the hospital, Naruto passed Hiashi coming out of a hospital room, most likely Neiji's. Neji and Lee were the only two who hadn't come to see him as they were both hospitalized. Neji had a broken arm, fractured hip, and a minor case of chakra exhaustion. Lee had a dislocated shoulder and multiple torn muscles from using the gates. Both would be in the hospital for the rest of the week before being released. For a brief moment, Naruto stopped into Neiji's room while Hinata went on with her father to find Hanabi. Apparently, Hanabi wanted to go kimono shopping with Hinata. The festival was exactly a week from now, and honestly Naruto couldn't wait. He had honestly never been to a festival. There were 3 main festivals in Konoha: New Year's, which began on the eve of the new year and continued through the next day. Then there was the Festival of the Budding Leaf, commemorating the founding of Konoha, held on March 21st of each year. The final big festival was what some villagers called the Kyubi Festival, held on October 10th. In reality, the festival was called the Yondaime Festival to commemorate the Yondaime's sacrifice. Naruto had missed the most recent festival, New Year's, because he was with Jiraiya in Uzushio-gakure and this would be his last chance at attending one for nearly 3 years. The reasons why Naruto never went to a festival varied. Why he never went to the Kyubi festival was obvious, but the other two were because he never had anyone to go with. Especially at this time of year, he had always been reminded of what he didn't have, friends and family, but this year was different. He had friends and he even had a date to go to the festival with. Exciting him for once about a festival, Naruto talked to Neji for a few moments before leaving. He was going to stop in to see Lee, but cries of youth coming from Lee and the sound of another voice, which was most likely Guy-sensei, had him thinking otherwise. It was then his stomach began to grumble, looked like ramen time. Tsunade entered the council chambers. Seated around the table was the Shinobi Council, comprised of Nara Shikaku, Yamanaka Inoiki, Akamiki Kuza, Inuzuka Tsume, Aburame Shibi, Kurama Unkai, Sarutobi Asuma, Hyuga Hiashi, Jiraiya, and finally Senju Tsunade. Very well, let's get underway with the deliberations regarding the Chunin exams. As follows, everyone at this table gets a vote on whether or not a Chunin candidate will receive a promotion. I myself will have 3, 2 as allowed by law to the Hokage and 1 as the representative of the Senju clan. In order to receive a promotion, a Chunin candidate requires 7 or more votes, announced Suand. Now, I feel we should just go through this alphabetically, which means Aburame Shino. Based on the exam results, the boy does demonstrate a high degree of tactical knowledge and skill. I will support his promotion to the rank of Chunin, said Shikaku. Even though he lost his second match against Gaara, he does show the skills befitting of a strategic thinker, added Inoiki. Seeing as no candidate is required to win a match, let alone both of them, I find that Aburame Shino has indeed met the requirements of Chunin. As they went around the table, Shino received approval from everyone and by the time it got back to Tsunade, her votes no longer mattered. Very well. I see no issues. Aburame Shino will be granted the rank of Chunin. I believe next would be Haruno Sakura. My understanding is that she's well versed in genjutsu and medical ninjutsu. I have heard about the medical ninjutsu from my team when she healed them after an unfortunate encounter with the Jinchuriki of the Rakubi. For only studying it for a few months, she already is showing some amazing potential in that area. The genjutsu, I have had the pleasure of witnessing in battle and she was able to use it well to outmaneuver her opponents, commented Asuma. That genjutsu she had used in her recent battle against Tamari was surprisingly strong for a Chunin candidate. I even had trouble at first seeing through it with my Byakugan. Of course it was easy to do after I increased the power, but still impressive for someone of her age, commented Hiashi. He had added that last part about finally being able to see through it to save himself a little, but he did find it difficult to see through the genjutsu until he focused a good amount of chakra into his Byakugan. She is clever. And she has even helped my daughter refocus herself, said Inoiki. Again, the votes were unanimous for Sakura. Haruno Sakura will be granted the rank of Chunin, said Tsunade. Next I believe is a string of 3 Hyugas. Let's start with Hinata. Anything to say, Hiashi? I do not wish to give her praise simply because she is a member of my clan, let alone my daughter, but the skills she displayed in the arena, primarily against her opponent in the first round, were impressive, commented Hiashi. Hyuga-san, if I may. That style she used at the exams is not the Juken and it was interesting to see how she changed to it during her first match to adapt to the fight. Would you mind explaining a little? Asked Shibi. Hiashi explained some of the very basics to Hinata's style, The Jushu. Unkai then spoke up. My problem with her performance was that she seemed to rely too much on taijutsu techniques, said Unkai. As his clan was comprised of genjutsu users, he naturally favored those with talent in genjutsu, such as Sakura. Then again, this was also the argument he made against every Hyuga and taijutsu user who was put up for promotion. What's wrong with getting up close and personal? Argued Tsume. As usual, the Inuzuka head and Kurama head got into a bit of an argument, and Suan noticed a familiar look on Jiraiya's face, one that was focused downward and not on the current conversation. She stood up and walked around the table to look over Jiraiya's shoulder, only to find that he had a certain orb and was giggling pervertedly. Pervert, she shouted, slamming her fist into his head and his head into the table before collecting the crystal ball from him that he had focused on the local hot springs. Troublesome, sighed Shikaku. Inoiki and Hyashi just nodded in agreement. They were wondering how long it would take before something along these lines occurred, and there was always something. It was common for Tsume and Unkai to get locked into some sort of heated debate like this. Seeing as the meeting wasn't going to be back underway anytime soon, Inoiki pulled out a bag of candy and began lobbing peace towards Hyashi, who managed to deflect them with chakra bursts while Kuza tried to catch the incoming candy with his mouth. These childish antics continued for about 15 minutes before Tsunade had everything back in order. Hyuga Hinata will receive the rank of Chunin, said Tsunade. Hyashi was mentally cheering. Hinata's flak jacket would be another thing he could rub in the elders' faces. Hyuga Neji is next. Great, another taijutsu user, commented Unkai, earning a glare from Tsume. That aside, Neji is indeed skilled. It's a shame he had to lose his first match the way he did, commented Shikaku as he looked over towards Hyashi. However, that can't be helped. It's not his fault he has some sort of seal on him. That seal is trouble. It's interlocked directly with the neurons in the brain, and every method I know to remove it has failed, commented Jiraiya. You're trying to remove it? Asked Kuza. Everyone looked towards Hyashi for some sort of reaction. Yes, we are, said a stern Hyashi. No one could honestly believe that the Hyuga head was actually trying to remove the Hyuga seal. Anyways, back on topic, again, said Suand. Hyuga Neji, promotion or no? The votes went around. Hyuga Neji, promoted to Chunin, commented Tsunade. Next, Hyuga Shinji. No, said every member simultaneously. Wow, that was fast. Not even going to discuss? Asked Suand, trying to hold back the laughter. What else is there to say? He got his ass handed to him by Neji, and the way in which he won was most shameful. Not to mention the little stunt that he pulled in his second match, commented Tsume. Anything to say, Hyashi? He is from your clan after all, asked Asuma. Yes. I can firmly say that Shinji's actions were most shameful. He will be punished by our clan. Also, if I am correct, any promotion, which I agree he does not deserve, would be wasted on him, as Tsuan-sama here has informed me that he will never have the chakra levels to perform more than normal civilian tasks, said Hyashi. Very well, Hyuga Shinji will not be receiving a promotion. Hyashi, I'll talk to you later about his punishment. He did break the rules by using the seal on Neji during his and Ianta's fight, commented Tsunade. Hyashi nodded. Rock Lee would be next. Taijutsu user, scoffed Unkai. Tsume shot him a glare and Shiyukaku sighed. My concern with Lee is that he's too attached to Guy and a little too rash, commented Asuma. He may be a good fighter and good kid, but he's too guy-like for his own good. Although, he does have quite a bit of power, said Tsume. Being able to open 4 of the gates like that is an incredible feat for someone his age. I think the question here is, does he possess the mind of a Chunin, not the skills? I think we all agree that his skills in taijutsu are without a doubt Chunin level, if not greater, said Hyashi. He has inherited the same attitude as his mentor. No concern for his own body so long as he can see his dreams through, said Tsunade. And what, if I may ask, are his dreams? Asked Unkai. He wants to prove that despite not being able to use Niner Genjutsu, that he can become a splendid ninja who can protect his friends and comrades, said Tsunade. It's not that he's a taijutsu user by choice, although he seems quite happy with it. It's that taijutsu is the only path in becoming a ninja that he can take, said Jiraiya. Still, he has some potential to think as a Chunin. He took advantage quite well of Tamari's attacks, using them to take his own weights off when he couldn't, added Shikaku. I'll give him my vote. While I do agree that he has potential, I regret to say that I don't think he is ready for the duties, that so I must withhold my vote from him, said Asuma. He had nothing against Lee, just that he felt Lee was currently a little too reckless for a Chunin at the moment and felt the bush eyebrow Jinan needed to mature slightly. I don't know. I like the kid and he's got the guts to go far, said Tsume. I'll say yes. Being a Chunin requires more than just taijutsu and guts. If he cannot use nin or genjutsu, I don't see him going far, said Unkai. I'm going to say nay. As a medic, I can't agree with some of his actions that normally land him in the hospital, but he does have the will to carry on as a Chunin. I'll give him one of my votes, but withhold the others, commented Tsunade. giving Lee 3 of the necessary 7 votes. I will give him mine, said Kuza. Inoiki followed and Hiashi did the same. While I agree he might be a bit reckless, the kid does seem willing to go the distance for his comrades. He has the attitude to see to his comrades' well-being. I'll give him the benefit of the doubt on this one, said Jiraiya. Shibi simply remained silent and nodded, indicating he was giving his vote. Lee received 8 votes, the fewest of anyone passing so far, but still passing. Very well, Rock Lee will receive a promotion. Next I believe is Uchiha Sasuke, said Tsunade. If I may, I would like to discuss Sasuke and Naruto together, said Hiashi. Tsunade nodded, but not before hearing rustling outside the room and the door open. Sorry we're late, but apparently we weren't informed about the meeting, commented a woman by the name of Ruchika Hataka. Suand and the rest of the Shinobi Council groaned. They were hoping to get through this without the Civilian Council intervening. The Civilian Council consisted of Ruchika Hataka, Konoha's Director of Civilian Affairs, Katazana Rochi, Konoha's Finance Minister, Kudachi Renza, Konoha's Secretary of Education, Ikira Takamo, Konoha's Secretary of Commerce, and the 2 elected representatives Fuzukani Amira and Hicho Kotonaichi. Along with the village advisors, Yutane Koharu, Mito Kato Homaru, and Shimura Danzo, these individuals made up the civilian portion of the Konoha Council. The Shinobi Council saw these individuals as a bunch of power-hungry, ignorant people who only had their best interests at hand instead of the village. They had honestly been hoping to get through the promotions without them showing up, as they always made the promotion process more difficult, even though they didn't have a say in who gets promoted. Suan saw why Hiashi wanted to discuss Naruto and Sasuke together. The Civilian Council would most certainly oppose Naruto, while strongly support Sasuke, and Hiashi must have seen them coming thanks to his eyes. Now Tsunade, why have you called us here? Asked Ruchika in a disrespectful tone. Tsunade's eyebrow twitched. We have important things that need to be done. We were just going over the results of the Chunin exams. However, if you have more important things that need to be done, of course you are dismissed to see to them, said Tsunade. Nonsense, this is important, said Fuzukani, as most of the Shinobi Council cursed under their breath. I hope you haven't come to any rash decisions without our input. Currently, Aburame Shino, Haruno Sakura, Hyuga Hinata, Hyuga Neji, and Rock Lee have all been approved for promotions. Hyuga Shinji has been denied, and we still have yet to deliberate on Uzumaki, Naruto and Uchiha Sasuke, said Tsunade, trying to catch the ignorant fools up to speed. Oh, Uchiha-sama most certainly deserves to be promoted. He should have been promoted last exam, but sadly his match was interrupted by Orochimaru, said Ikira. The way in which he referred to Sasuke told the Shinobi Council everything. These buffoons only truly cared about getting on Sasuke's good side, even if Sasuke hated them almost as much as his fangirls. Speaking of fangirls, a good portion of Sasuke's fangirls were, by pure coincidence, related to the Civilian Council. However, we don't understand why you've even brought that thing into this conversation. He doesn't deserve to be a ninja, let alone a Chunin, spoke Hicho. I believe you have your decision, Tsunade. Sasuke-sama is to be promoted, while the thing should be kicked out of the ninja program altogether. In fact, he should be executed for trying to kill Uchiha-sama during their match, said Ruchika, raising her voice for the last part. There was a loud crash in the room and everyone looked at Tsunade, whose hand was embedded in a splintered table. Enough, shouted Tsunade. I don't know where you all got that arrogance, but I should remind you that the promotion of shinobi is a power granted only to the Shinobi Council. Everyone on the shinobi side of the council could feel the tension in the room rise, and they were all smart enough not to interfere. However, the same couldn't be said for Ruchika, who Tsunade had by the shirt collar. Why, I've never, how dare you talk to me like that, Tsunade? Show some respect. I am a member of the village council, yelled Ruchika. I demand some respect. You are a member of the civilian council of a shinobi village. A shinobi village that I just happen to be the Hokage of, making me the leader of said village, growled Tsunade. Right now, every fiber of her being wanted to pummel the stuck-up lady, but it wouldn't look good. You say I don't know my place? You don't know yours. I don't know how Sandaime-sama ever gave you so much breathing room, but you are the civilian council and you are only to concern yourselves with civilian affairs. What happens to my shinobi is none of your concern, and you'll do good to remember that. Tsunade shot a large amount of ki towards the civilian council, making all but the 3 advisors keel over in fear. Oh, and you will refer to me as either Tsunade-sama or Hokage-sama from now on. Now take your seats and remain quiet until we are done with the exam results. Yes, Tsunade-sama, growled out Ruchika. Good. Now back to the proceedings. Let's see, Uchiha Sasuke, said Tsunade. While I am tempted to have him fail, just to see the looks on the council's face, that is not fair to Sasuke. In the past, I had doubts about him and his stability, said Jiraiya. I was afraid that he was going to turn out as some stuck-up prick who thought he deserved everything just because of his heritage and everything that happened, ultimately leading to him defecting the village in search of someone who would simply hand him power with no regards for the price of said power. But he has proven me wrong and has really matured as a shinobi of this village. If I'm correct, during the second exam, Sakura, Naruto, and Sasuke fought off a group of 15 Iwa ninja, commented Kuza. That was all Sasuke's doing, blurted out Katazana. Tsunade shot the elder finance minister a glare that said, "Shut up before I rip your throat out," and the civilian member was silenced. I looked through Sasuke's mind when we returned to Konoha when I had a chance, and I will say that all three of them worked well to protect each other, said Inoiki. He had also seen the reason why the Iwa ninja attacked, but was ordered by Tsunade to keep that silent and just say that Iwa had a general grudge against Konoha. All three of them deserve equal credit for surviving something like that. I will admit that he is very skillful in his combat, and that last match showed that he is at least high tuning in that regards, if not low jonin, said Shibi. He did show that he does have tactical knowledge out on the field in both matches, and that he could also react quick enough to changing conditions, said Shikaku. Tsunade called for votes and the results were well in Sasuke's favor. Uchiha Sasuke will receive a promotion to rank of Chunin. I believe that leaves Uzumaki Naruto. Before I actually saw it, I was skeptical that Naruto truly was an Uzumaki. However, those seals that he performed in the midst of battle leave nothing to doubt, said Asuma. A Jonin being able to use Fuinjutsu of that level is just unheard of, said Inoiki. And his ninjutsu skills can't be denied either. I would also say that they are on par with the Uchihas. If there is one skill set that I've noticed from him lately that he's skilled in, it's his use of shadow clones and how he uses them to gain a tactical advantage, commented Shikaku. The use of disposable clones to create openings and get his comrades out of tough situations is clever. Already, the civilian council did not like where this was going. He cheated. He must have cheated. It's his demon trickery. The demon's trying to fool you all, shouted Kudachi. She was thrown out of her chair immediately and slammed up against the wall, staring into eyes that would make even the Kyuubi tremble in fear. Don't ever refer to him as a demon again, yelled Tsunade before releasing her grip on the poor woman. These civilians needed to learn their place in the shinobi village, and that was going to happen today. For too long, they had given her a headache, and she was almost certain that they were the main cause of why her sensei's efforts as Hokage had gone to waste. She turned back to the shinobi council. Anything else to say? Or should we just go right into a vote? There's nothing more that can be said to change my vote. I vote yes, said Jiraiya immediately. Hyashi was a close second, followed by the remainder of the council. Tsunade smiled. Uzumaki Naruto, promoted to Chunin. Tsunade. You can't be serious? Argued one of the civilian members before he was forced back into his seat and restrained by Shikaku's shadow. Uzumaki Naruto is a shinobi of this village. He has proven himself as such more than most and has earned his promotion. You will do no such thing to keep him from that which he has rightfully earned, said Shikaku. Fine. But you'll all regret that decision when he finally shows what sort of monster he truly is, said Ruchika. Now, what are these other matters that we need to talk about? I think you know exactly what I'm talking about, said Tsunade, throwing down a teaching manual for the academy that had a copy of the curriculum in it. Sasuke sat in his bed in the hospital. He was bored. After everyone had left, he had pulled Sakura aside for a little, but even she had to leave eventually, leaving him alone. Sasuke sighed. Yo. Sasuke turned his attention to the window to see Kakashi sitting on the windowsill. HN. What do you want? Asked Sasuke. Figured I'd finally talk to you after that match of yours, said Kakashi. Sasuke looked down. I'm sorry I used the Chidori like that. I know you told me never to use it on a comrade, but don't worry, I'm not mad at you. I guess I would be disappointed in myself if I thought you weren't going to use it or Naruto wasn't going to use his Rasengan, said Kakashi, sitting on the end of Sasuke's bed. Actually, on the contrary, I'm proud with how you did during this exam. You stuck with your team the entire time, not doubting either of them. And you three survived a test that would have killed most others. And at the very end, you and Naruto fought on a level I honestly didn't think you two were capable of. Even I would have been hard pressed there had I been fighting either of you. I knew the moment your match was drawn that you and Naruto were going to throw everything at each other, and I accepted it. The two of you really needed that match, an opportunity to go all out against one another and to see where you measure up against each other. Kakashi could still see that Sasuke was worried about something. Don't worry, there's no doubt that you made Chunin this time around. I'm not worried about that. I'm worried about whether or not I actually earned it, said Sasuke. Ever since that night, the civilian council has done nothing but pamper me and hand everything over to me. Honestly, they're just as annoying as the fangirls from back in the academy. I hate it. It's like they never give me an opportunity to actually do something for myself. I bet they even set up my training with you. Kakashi placed a hand on Sasuke's shoulder. True, they did request to have you trained privately for 3 years. Initially, they had tried to have Jiraiya-sama train you, but I offered myself to train you and give you the skills necessary to protect your friends. Not because the council required it, but because I felt you earned it. You proved to me that there was more than just a revenge-seeking emo avenger in there. You showed that you genuinely cared for your comrades and you even think of them as family. Sasuke looked at Kakashi confused. Don't tell me Naruto doesn't remind you of that annoying little brother that you just can't live without. Sasuke actually let out a slight chuckle at that thought. It was true, he did see Naruto as a brother. Naruto was the brother he always wanted, not Itachi. Itachi was simply the one who was trying to take away everything that he had left. See? Trust and friendship is something that can't simply be given to you. It's something you have to earn yourself. You earned my complete trust the moment you put your life on the line to try and save them, and I felt you finally understood what would be required for you to truly become strong. I didn't agree to train you simply by the council's whim. I did it because I don't want you to have to suffer through what I had to, said Kakashi as the look on his masked face saddened. I didn't truly understand the meaning of comrades and friendship until it was too late. By then, I had already witnessed my father take his own life and the one I would call a brother sacrifice himself for me. Kakashi uncovered his eye. This Sharingan was given to me by Uchiha Obito in his final moments. We were like you and Naruto are, only by the time we realized what we meant to each other, Obito was dead. Shortly after, I lost my other teammate and close friend Rin. I had promised Obito I would protect her, but at that time, I was still too weak. Kakashi stood up, facing out the window towards the memorial stone. No matter what happens, you've earned my respect and everything you have now. Kakashi then turned around to Sasuke with a look on his face. So how'd it go? Sasuke sent a victorious smile to Kakashi. Good. We'll leave shortly afterwards then. That should give you plenty of time to settle things here, said Kakashi. Boom. Kakashi and Sasuke looked out the window to see a large explosion coming from one of the training grounds. Naruto found himself being dragged across the village. He had just finished his ramen by the time Tenten had managed to get her hands on him. With her own team in the hospital and Hinata taking care of her own business at the moment, Tenten saw this as a perfect opportunity to try and get Naruto to show her a few tricks with Fuinjutsu, and in Tenten's defense, he had promised to show her a few things a while ago. So what is it you want to know? Asked Naruto. Well, I know you promised me that you'd show me those seals that you used on your gloves, and perhaps you have something else, asked Tenten. Naruto quickly showed Tenten the storage seals for weapons that he used on the gloves, and she tried, failing the first few times until she actually made one that worked and could hold kunai. It also helped that she already knew some Fuinjutsu, whereas Naruto had to start from the very beginning before figuring out how to make those storage seals. Tenten asked if Naruto had anything extra, and Naruto thought for a moment. Well, I do have these that I've been working on, he said, pulling out what looked to be a small ball of wrapped seals. Naruto went to the middle of the training ground and placed the small ball there. You may want to duck behind a tree. Tenten looked at Naruto confused, but heeded his warning as Naruto did the same. Release, called out Naruto. The small ball exploded in a small puff of smoke and about 100 kunai shot outwards from it, embedding themselves all around the area. Tenten was foolish enough to peek out from one of the trees as the ball exploded and a kunai came sailing towards her, cutting off a sizable portion of one of her hair buns. Sorry, I'm not quite done with that one, apologized Naruto. I'm kind of trying to get the kunai to release in a single direction. Are you kidding me? That was awesome, exclaimed Tenten. Naruto shot her a confused look. You're telling me that Konoha's king of pranks hasn't thought of what that can do? Naruto shook his head. Tenten sighed. What you've just created was kind of like an explosion of shrapnel, only you're using intact kunai, which are much more powerful than simple shards of metal. If you were to throw that into the middle of the enemy unit, just think of what it could do. Wow, said a wide-eyed Naruto. Suddenly, he got an idea. And if I attach explosive notes onto the end of the kunais, please teach me how to make that, begged Tenten, drooling from the mouth. Naruto gave in and gave her the basics on how to make it. He wasn't going to explain everything as he didn't quite have that time, but he figured that Tenten could figure out the rest. You know, Jiraiya-sama told us about your clan, the Uzumakis. I already knew a little about them before, but I can't believe that they were never mentioned in the academy. Yeah, I didn't know about them until Uro-Sennin took me to Uzushio-Gakure, said Naruto, taking out his small black sealing book. It was there that I first learned Fuinjutsu. I found out about my family and how they were all Fun masters. I found this book which has all of my grandpa's sealing knowledge in it. Oh, and I also found this. Naruto turned to the last pages of the sealing book. There were a few empty pages, probably for Morio's descendants to add their sealing knowledge. On the last page, Naruto had replicated a few blood seals where he kept everything else that he had found in Uzushio-Gakure. He bit his thumb and wiped it across one of the seals and his sword was unsealed. And I also found this. Tenten's eyes shot wide open. That's. You know, I think she's officially beat your vixen in the stuttering department now, commented Kurama. Naruto's sweat dropped as he looked on at Tenten, who was now frozen. Tenten? Tenten? Asked Naruto, poking the weapon using kunoichi. Wow, where the hell did a gaki like you get that? Exclaimed Zabuza, who was standing on a tree branch above where Naruto and Tenten were. Zabuza was missing a chunk of his hair as well, and it was likely that he had been training nearby when Naruto set his kunai shrapnel bomb off and a stray kunai clipped his hair. Zabuza then went on to search for the one responsible when he stumbled onto Naruto unsealing that sword. Huh? Zabuza? Asked Naruto. Zabuza jumped down from the tree and picked up the sword from in front of Naruto. He unsheathed it and took a good look at it. The Uzumaki Shio no Ken. I don't believe it. This sword was thought to be lost, commented Zabuza in disbelief. At around this time, Tenten's brain finally rebooted. Well, I kind of found it. It was in a blood-sealed locker that belonged to my ancestor, said Naruto, rubbing the back of his head. Zabuza looked down at the blade to examine it more, but found that it was gone, now in Tenten's hands. Tenten was admiring the sword. Despite having been lost for a century, the sword was in immaculate condition. The hilt was red, wrapped in black with a small Uzumaki crest at the base of the hilt. The hand guard was also a black Uzumaki spiral. From it, the blade extended outward with a mirror finish and a faint, yet intricate sealing matrix on the blade. Hey, so you seem to know a little about this sword. Uro Sennin said it has some sort of special ability. Do you have any idea what it does? Asked Naruto. Not really, Brad. I know that it's some sort of sealing sword, but that's about it. If you found that sword, then I'd imagine you found some sort of Kenjutsu scrolls as well. I'd guess that there is something in there that tells you what the sword does, said Zabuza. Still, I can't believe it still exists. And I bet you don't even know how to use it. Hey, how did Naruto? Uro Sennin said he'd show me during our trip. Zabuza-sama called out Haku, landing on a branch above them. We are to report to the briefing room. We've got an assignment. When you get back, you'd better be able to use that cause you and I are going to fight like true swordsmen, said Zabuza, pointing to the sword in Tenten's hands. Haku pulled an Anbu mask over his face, resembling the one he had when Naruto and he first met. Zabuza did the same, only to Naruto's surprise and slight amusement, Zabuza's mask was a rabbit. Naruto took the sword back from a pouting Tenten. Man, why do you get all the cool toys, said Tenten, crossing her arms like a kid denied a trip to the candy store. Don't worry, I'm sure you'll find something, said Naruto. Hey, speaking of which, I just thought of something. Tenten looked at Naruto curiously. Why don't you go and ask Bakken? I'm sure she has something that can help you out. What? But I'm not like Tsunade-sama. I mean, sure, I want to be as strong a kunoichi as she, but I don't have the same talents as her, said Tenten. Maybe not, but I think you're a lot like her grandmother, Uzumaki Mito, said Naruto as Tenten's eyes widened again. She had heard of the legendary wife of the Shodaime, but I thought Jiraiya-sama said that only an Uzumaki could learn the Uzumaki techniques. There's no way I could learn her techniques. That's not true. A lot of the seals from the Uzumakas can actually be used by anyone. It's just the most powerful seals that are restricted. Those seals that I'm talking about are sealed inside my book by blood seals, but this, said Naruto. He pulled out a scroll that wasn't originally sealed inside the book. This is a basic Uzumaki explosion seal, one that anyone can make. And there are plenty of other seals too that anyone can use. Tenten followed the instruction on the scroll, making the tag. So Naruto, how powerful are these? I don't really know, let's find out, said Naruto as he went to a rock. They both hid behind a tree and Naruto activated the seal. Nothing. Naruto then walked out towards the seal to see what was wrong with it. He was sure it was drawn correctly, perhaps there was something missing. As he got within 10 feet of the seal, boom. It went off in a massive explosion, much larger than any explosive tag, that covered the entire clearing in the training ground. Naruto, shouted Tenten. When the smoke cleared, Naruto was lying in the middle of a crater, burnt, black, and smoking. That was some explosion, Tbayo, said a weary Naruto. Kurama couldn't stop laughing. Ha ha, you blew yourself up, laughed the Kyuubi. Damn fox, said Naruto, losing consciousness. A few minutes later, Kakashi had arrived and Tenten explained everything. Kakashi picked Naruto up before taking him back to the hospital to rest. What happened to him? Asked Sasuke as Kakashi placed Naruto down on the bed opposite Sasuke. Just a little accident. Now while I'm gone, don't let him near any explosives or fire jutsu, said Kakashi. You do realize he can make exploding clones, said Sasuke, looking over to see only an afterimage of Kakashi. A few minutes later, Tsunade walked in to see what had happened to Naruto. I can't believe I'm actually promoting him, she thought. Already, Tsunade wasn't in a good mood. She had just finished the council meeting where she had practically chewed up the civilian council about 12 times over. She had learned that the civilian council, who Sarutobi had put in charge of the academy curriculum for whatever reason, had drastically lowered the standards and were partially responsible for Naruto being sabotaged. But the worst part came when she asked why the unit on the Uzumakis was removed from the curriculum. As one of the council members put it, there was no room for a family of whores and bastards in the school curriculum. That was one mistake the councilman probably shouldn't have made, considering Tsunade's grandmother was actually an Uzumaki. Currently, said councilman was in the hospital with all arms and legs broken, a major concussion, broken ribs, a weird croak in his voice and a sudden craving for flies and bugs. Not to mention, the entire civilian council was now seriously afraid of Jiraiya. On her way out, Tsunade was confronted by Tenten. Normally, this would be a bad time for anyone to confront Tsunade, however the way she was complimenting Tsunade's grandmother and asking if there were any of her techniques that she could study was a much needed comfort to the Hokage. She immediately realized that must have been Naruto's doing. I'll see if grandma had anything. I'm sure she's got something that will help, said Tsunade. Tsunade returned to her office to find the entire Shinobi council standing there. I thought I dismissed you guys already, she asked, slightly irritated still. Yes, but there is something we'd like to know that we want to ask without any of those arrogant bastards around, said Tsume. Fine, what is it? Said Tsunade. It regards Naruto. We've heard from our kids about the kind of life he lived before becoming a shinobi, and I'm certain that was just a watered down version of it, said Inoiki. What we want to know is, does the civilian council have anything to do with the way Naruto was treated as a child? As you all saw, the civilians pretty much wanted to have Naruto killed. Yes, I believe they have a huge hand in the way the village has looked at Naruto, said Tsunade. They're a bunch of ungrateful pricks who wouldn't know a kunai if it embedded itself in their heart. They have no understanding with how the shinobi arts work, nor do they even care. To them, Naruto has been nothing more than the Kyuubi while the villagers followed in their stead. How they got so much leeway under Sarutobi-sensei is beyond me, but the villagers are coming around, aren't they? Asked Hiashi. Yes, without a doubt, there have been a good number of cases that show that Naruto's been winning people over. If I'm correct, he somehow got into one of Konoha's most prestigious restaurants and was even apologized to by Fuzaku Michigo, a highly respected, if overly eccentric, merchant in the village, said Tsunade. He is making a lot of progress and this exam has been a real eye-opener to the village regarding who he is. I can feel that the civilian council is starting to lose their hold on the rest of the village regarding Naruto, and it's only a matter of time now. The following day, 7 of Chunin candidates stood on top of the Hokage Tower where they would find out the results of the exams. Both Naruto and Sasuke had been released from the hospital earlier that day under the condition that Sasuke takes it easy for a few days and Naruto doesn't go near anything explosive. Neji had a cast on his right arm and a sling holding it while Lee was sitting in a chair. His muscles were still recovering and Tsunade didn't want him moving much more than the therapy at the hospital. Both Neji and Lee would be in the hospital for a few more days. Sakura and Hinata were fine, and Sakura was unusually cheerful today. She was normally pretty happy, but she was even more so today, indicating that something good must have happened. Shino's hive was at about half strength now, after being almost destroyed by Gaara. Speaking of Gaara, the Sand Trio had decided to stay in Konoha for a few more days due to Tamari wanting to go to the upcoming festival for some reason. Shinji was the only one not there, most likely still recovering from the effects of having the seal placed on him. The elders had managed to convince Yashi to refrain from banishing Shinji from the clan, but they were not able to prevent the sealing. While sealing was normally their duty, as clan head, one of Yashi's duties was to protect the image of the clan, and the sealing was a result of punishing Shinji for having dishonored the clan and trying to repair some of the damage Shinji had done. Standing around the outside of the top of the tower were all the friends and family of the Chunin candidates along with a few other ninja from the village such as Anko, Ibiki, Genma, and a few others. After a few minutes, Tsunade finally emerged from within the tower, wearing the ceremonial Hokage robes. Right, I think you all know why you're here, said Tsunade, pulling out a furled scroll from her coat. You all want to see if you get these. Well, let's get started. Aburame Shino, step forward, called out Tsunade as Shino took a step forward. It has been decided by myself and the Shinobi Council of Konoha that you will be promoted to the rank of Chunin. Everyone there cheered for their friend, especially a certain green-haired Kunoichi. Shino accepted the promotion scroll from Tsunade. Thank you, Hokage-sama. I humbly accept this. Shino then stepped back in line. Haruno Sakura called out Tsunade as Sakura stepped forward. Congratulations, you will be promoted to the rank of Chunin. Way to go, Billboard Brow. Cheered Ino. Sakura turned and smiled. She knew Ino was joking and she'd let this one slide. Next to Ino were her parents and they were both ecstatic. Sakura was trying her best to hide the blush that was developing on her face. "Thank you, Shishu," said Sakura, taking the promotion scroll. Hyuga Hinata called out Tsunade. Hinata was snapped out of her chair with an eep when her name was called. "Congratulations, you've passed." A smile lit up Hinata's face as she heard Hanabi cheering. Hinata accepted the scroll and bowed to the Hokage, Hyuga Neji. Neji stepped, or limped, forward. "Congratulations on achieving the rank of Chunin, Yosh." "Neji's youthful flames sure are burning brightly," exclaimed Guy. "Hyuga Shinji," said Tsunade. "Well, he doesn't seem to be here. No matter, he won't be receiving a promotion now or anytime soon." People wanted to cheer, but they figured that it still wasn't the proper thing to do. Rock Lee. Lee shot up from his seat, despite having been told otherwise. "It was close, but congratulations on your promotion." Lee's face turned from stern and serious to happy and excited in a matter of moments. "Hi Hokage-sama. You have no idea how happy this makes me." "Guy-sensei. I did it, Lee. I'm so proud of you." "Guy-sensei, Lee, smack." Tsunade's fist sent them flying back before those two could cast their weird genjutsu upon everyone. "I don't need any of that today." Tsunade's attention then turned to the last two. Uchiha Sasuke, Uzumaki Naruto. She looked straight at them with a stern expression that could probably top Yashi. She then sighed and shook her head slightly as both boys began to sweat. Had they really not been promoted? They turned towards their respective teachers and saw that Kakashi and Jiraiya were shaking their heads with a disappointed look on their faces. "I'm sorry," said Suand. A few people gasped. Were those two really not going to be promoted? "You two won't be receiving your jackets for a few years, but you pass. Congratulations." "What?" shouted both Sasuke and Naruto. "I said, congratulations, you both pass," said Tsunade before regaining that stern expression. "But don't ever try anything like that again." "Shishu, what was with that long pause?" asked Sakura. "It wouldn't be fun to promote people without making at least a few people sweat, now would it?" said Suand. Sasuke and Naruto merely sweat dropped. "Bah, Tsunade-sama, what do you mean by we won't be getting our jackets right now?" asked Naruto, catching himself after seeing the look on Tsunade's face. "Close one. You almost lost your promotion there," said Tsunade as Naruto gulped. "I figured that since the two of you won't be around for a few years, you'd most likely not use it and simply outgrow it. You will get one upon returning after your trips." Naruto and Sasuke accepted it. While they were slightly disappointed they wouldn't be getting their Chunin flak jackets today, they saw the logic in Tsunade's explanation. "Within those scrolls are official notices of your promotions and also a second note. Take that note to any of the village shinobi supply shops and they will give you the standard Chunin package, which includes the Chunin handbook and various weapons and scrolls that are standard amongst Chunin of the village. You will have 2 weeks off to prepare yourself before you resume duties as a Chunin. For all of you who competed in the Chunin exams this time around, I am proud of you and the village is proud of you. I congratulate those of you who have earned your promotion and those of you who have not yet earned theirs. Continue the hard work and it will be yours next time around. I will say that the next Chunin exams will be held in Suna. However, after the whole fiasco with Kumo, it is likely there will be some changes to the exams," announced Tsunade. "For now, you are all dismissed." Everyone broke off to be congratulated by their respective families and teachers. "Not bad, Gaki. Not bad at all," said Jiraiya, placing his hand on Naruto's head. "Perhaps there's hope for you yet." With that, Jiraiya took off, probably to go do some research. "Naruto," said Hinata. Naruto turned to see his girlfriend walking towards him and wrapped him up in a big hug and kissed him, disregarding the look on her father's face. "Congratulations Hinata on the promotion, you earned it," exclaimed Naruto. "And I'm glad that you got yours too," replied Hinata. "Yeah, I can't believe I won't bet my jacket though," pouted Naruto. Hinata giggled a little. "It sounds as if everyone is meeting up at barbecue tonight to celebrate," said Hinata. "Really? I'll be there, T-by-o," said Naruto. "Hinata, let's go," called out Hiashi. "I've got a flak jacket to rub in some elders' faces." "Coming," replied Hinata. "I'll see you tonight." Before leaving, Hinata gave Naruto a quick kiss goodbye, leaving Naruto just standing there. "Boss has a girlfriend," teased Konohamaru, coming over with Iruka to tease Naruto. "Konohamaru, Iruka-sensei. What are you doing here?" asked Naruto. "We came to congratulate you on your promotion and perhaps get a celebratory bowl of ramen," said Iruka. "Awesome. That sounds great, Iruka-sensei," shouted Naruto. "And afterwards do you think we could go see what that Chunin package thing is?" Naruto, Sakura, Sasuke called out Kakashi before any of them could take off. "Team meeting tomorrow at 10 a.m. Be at Training Ground 7. With that, Kakashi shunshined away and Naruto left with Iruka and Konohamaru. While enjoying the ramen, Naruto could see that Iruka was in deep thought. "Iruka-sensei? Is everything okay? Asked Naruto. Yeah, it's just, I can't believe how far you've come in merely a year. After seeing those matches of yours, I can't even begin to think you were once the goofy little kid who everyone called the dead last. And now, you and I are the same rank, and I'm 10 years older than you. It's just hard to believe. That's all, said Iruka. 2 years, huh? What are you talking about, Iruka-sensei? Asked Naruto. I know I won't be ready for them this year, but the ones 2 years from now, mumbled Iruka. Iruka-sensei? What are you talking about? Asked Naruto. Oh, sorry. Recently, I've been thinking, perhaps it's time I start to move forward. I've been a Chunin for years, but, after seeing you grow so fast, I can't help but feel like I'm going to be left behind, said Iruka. What? Don't say that, Iruka. You're an amazing ninja, said Naruto, trying to cheer Iruka up. But what is this about 2 years? Every 2 years, the village holds Jonin trials for Chunin. This year's trials are coming up in about 4 months, and I know I'm not going to be ready for them, but I might be ready for them in 2 years. I've just been thinking, perhaps it's time for me to move forward as a ninja and become a Jonin, said Iruka. Wow. That would be awesome, declared Naruto. 2 years? I'm positive you can do it, Iruka, said Ayame, placing another bowl in front of Naruto. You're really strong. There are times when all Naruto does is talk about how strong of a ninja you are. You think so? Asked Iruka, a very faint blush coming to his face. Hell yeah. I'm sure you'll kick ass, Iruka-sensei, T-by-o. Said Naruto. Iruka smiled. Alright. If you think I can do it, then I will. Seeing as you'll be gone for 3 years, I promise that by the time you get back I'll be a Jonin, declared Iruka with a new fire in his eye as he, Naruto, and Konohamaru finished their last bowls. Let's go get you your new stuff, Naruto. About 30 minutes later, Naruto was walking out of the ninja shop that was owned by Tenten's father, carrying the box of supplies, minus one flak jacket, that was awarded to him for being promoted. They made it back to Naruto's apartment before he opened it. Let's see. The Chunin handbook. I'll read that later, maybe, said Naruto as he began examining the contents of the box. Iruka chuckled and wondered if Naruto would actually get around to reading it. Then again, no one ever read the handbook. He then pulled out a medium-sized book. It read Basic Chakra Nature Manipulation. Naruto gave it a confused look. Technically, you aren't supposed to learn elemental ninjutsu until you're a Chunin, but from the looks of the matches this time around, well, yeah, said Iruka. Hey, Iruka-sensei, what element are you? Asked Naruto. Water, actually, said Iruka. Why? Just curious. Here you go, Konohamaru. I don't need this. I'm already past basic wind manipulation, said Naruto, handing the book to Konohamaru. Iruka merely sighed. Awesome. I wonder what my chakra nature is, exclaimed Konohamaru. Naruto smiled and gave Konohamaru the chakra paper that came with the book. Konohamaru channeled his chakra into the paper and it smoldered to ashes. Cool. Fire, just like Gigi. Iruka face-palmed himself. Konohamaru wasn't supposed to learn about that stuff until Chunin, Haijinan at the latest. In all honesty though, there was nothing stopping an academy student from learning basic elemental manipulation. It was just strongly discouraged. Naruto pulled out a few scrolls that read basic Fuinjutsu on them. Most Chunin know the very basics of Fuinjutsu. However, there are some like myself that delve a bit deeper into it, explained Iruka. Huh? You know Fuinjutsu? Asked Naruto. Actually, my specialty lies in barrier jutsus, a type of Fuinjutsu, explained Iruka. Wow. That's awesome, exclaimed Naruto. He took a very brief look through the Fuinjutsu scrolls before tossing them carelessly back in the box. Man, that was disappointing. I already know way more advanced seals than those lame storage seals. Naruto then pulled out some of the ninja equipment. With the promotion, he was given a total of 100 kunai, 300 shuriken, 50 explosive notes. Oops, I'll take those, said Iruka, snatching the explosive notes out of Naruto's hands. Huh? What? Asked a confused Naruto. Why did you take those explosive notes? Hokage's orders. She said not to let you near anything that can go boom, said Iruka, laughing at Naruto's reaction. He had heard about Naruto almost blowing himself up the other day. Also inside the box were a standard issue Tanto and some basic field and first aid supplies. He was honestly hoping for something cool and interesting, but now the only thing he thought was cool he wouldn't get for 3 more years. Iruka sensed this as well. Here, said Iruka, taking off his vest and handing it to Naruto. I know that you're a little disappointed that you're not going to be getting one. It's the best thing about becoming a Chunin. And seeing that you are one now, I feel no regret with letting you wear mine for a little, even if it might be a bit big on you. Just make sure you return it before you leave. Kanpai! Cheered all the members of the Konoha 12, plus Fu. Tonight was a night of celebration as 7 of them had managed to make Chunin. Even Lee and Neji had convinced Tsunade, only Kami knows how, to let them join with their friends in celebration. As of now, 8 of them were now amongst the ranks of Chunin, despite their young age, leaving 5 that still had yet to pass the exams. That's it. I swear, next time around we are making Chunin Akamaru, blurted out Kiba. Arf, barked Akamaru. Yeah. That's the spirit, Akamaru. Cheered Kiba. Who else is with us? Well, I'm definitely in. With some of those new techniques that Tsunade-sama gave me, there's no way I'm not making Chunin this next time around, declared Tenten. There's no way in hell I'm letting Billboard Brow get ahead of me, shouted Ino. Sakura simply looked at Ino and the new fire that had ignited within her friend. She was glad that Ino was now a determined kunoichi, tossing aside her old fangirl ways. That was shown by the way Sakura was sitting next to Sasuke at dinner and the two of them had inadvertently been playing with each other's food, almost like a dumbed down version of what Naruto and Hinata were doing right now. Ino wasn't making any fuss about it. I'm definitely in. I made it to the finals this time around and I'm sure I can make Chunin next time, said Fu. I'm in as well. I can't let Shikamaru and Ino get ahead of me. Besides, as long as Asuma-sensei treats up to barbecue after each exam, then I won't be complaining, said Kuji. So long as we don't get stuck with any more Hyugas, said Ino. No offense, Hinata, Neji. None taken, said Neji. You know, the branch members are actually very nice. It's the main ones you have to watch out for, said Hinata. Speaking of which, does that make you a main family Hyuga or a branch family Hyuga, considering you're no longer the heir? Asked Tenten. Unfortunately for Naruto, he was already jumping to conclusions. He was so going to kick Yashi's ass the next time he saw the man. Everyone in the room immediately felt Naruto's chakra flare. Naruto. It's not like that, cried Hinata as she began to explain everything to the blonde about the bet and how her father had played the elders at their own game. Really? So you and Hanabi are both safe from the seal? Asked Naruto. Hinata smiled and nodded her head. He then looked towards Neji. It's okay, Naruto. I know what you're thinking and don't worry yourself with it, said Neji. No. I promised I'd get that damn seal off your head, Neji. It's just everything Uro-Sennin and I have thought about has failed, said Naruto out of disappointment. Instinctively, he reached into his back pocket and pulled out his book. If there's anything that can get rid of your seal, it's in here. I just know it. Naruto, please don't burden yourself with my troubles, said Neji. Just shut it. I already promised you and I won't go back on my word. It's my Nindo. I know there is something in this book. I just know there is something in here that can help, said Naruto. Neji remained silent, knowing that he wasn't going to be able to talk Naruto out of it. Instantly, the mood changed. Now, who's up for dessert? Me. Cheered just about everyone. You know, you should ask Sakura out to the festival, nagged Naruto. He and Sasuke had arrived to the training ground at 10 and had been waiting for at least an hour. They should have known Kakashi would be late, as usual. Nope, said Sasuke, but why not? It's obvious she likes you and the way you two were acting last night. Shut it, Dobi, snapped Sasuke. He couldn't believe he was getting relationship advice from the academy's most oblivious student when it came to relationships. But no, oh come on. Just stop, why not? Chidori. Ga. A few minutes later, a cheerful and humming Sakura arrived to a ticked-off Sasuke and a fried Naruto. Good morning, Sasuke, chirped Sakura. Hey, said Sasuke, returning the smile. Sakura looked around, and instantly her mod went from cheerful to I should have known. He's late, isn't he? In his defense, so are you, retorted Sasuke. It's not my fault that I actually had the sense to be late to make up for his lateness, said Sakura. You spent an entire 2 months with him. You should know. Actually, I wasn't late at all during that time. Everyone looked up to see Kakashi, Jiraiya, and Tsunade sitting on a tree branch above them. Yo, you're late, shouted Naruto and Sakura. Kakashi simply waved them off. Huh? Uro-Sennin, Ba-chan, what are you doing here? Asked Naruto. What? We can't come to congratulate our students on their recent promotion? Said Jiraiya. Fine, if you don't want me around here, I've got research that needs doing. Before Jiraiya could walk away teasingly, Tsunade had reeled him back in by the ear. No, I just wanted to meet up so I could congratulate my cute little Jinan on their promotion, said Kakashi. These two simply tag along. But Kakashi-sensei, we're not Jinan anymore, argued Naruto. So, you'll always be my cute little Jinan, no matter what rank you are, smiled Kakashi as Sasuke, Naruto, and Sakura sweat dropped. So you're only here to tease us, is that it? Asked Naruto. Actually, it's customary to give one's students a gift upon their promotion to Chunin, said Tsunade. Team 7's eyes lit up. I guess I'll start, said Jiraiya. He pulled out an old headband and a set of what appeared to be 5 ordinary kunai. What's this? An old headband? And some kunai? Asked a confused Naruto. That's not just any headband. Why don't you take a look at whose forehead protector that was, said Jiraiya. Naruto peeled back the fabric and gasped when he saw the name on the back of the forehead. Protector, Namikaze Minato. This was my dad's? Jiraiya smiled and nodded. It was. And I'm sure he'd want you to have it. If they were here right now, I'm sure they'd be proud of you. Naruto took off the forehead protector that was currently on his head, the one Iruka-sensei had given him. This was probably the only case Naruto could see himself replacing the headband that Iruka had given him. Thankfully for him, Jiraiya had the plate remounted on a long black piece of fabric so that it still matched his old one. I had those kunai specifically made to filter chakra out of them. I figured that way, you'd be able to put those absorption seals on them and not worry about tossing them aside after you use them too much. Unfortunately, they'll still overheat or whatever the other elements do, but the chakra they've absorbed will work its way out of the kunai, allowing you to continue using them, explained Jiraiya. Wow! Thanks Uro-sennin, exclaimed Naruto. Jiraiya sighed. He still wasn't getting rid of the Uro-sennin anytime soon, it appeared. Alright Sakura, I guess you're next, said Suan. So, I've been thinking on it and I believe I kept hearing you complaining about not having a summoning contract, so if you would be willing to accept, I would be very pleased to offer you the one I have with the slugs. Yes! Screamed Sakura, without a second thought, as she jumped and wrapped Tsunade in a hug. After the time she had spent with Tsunade so far, she found that she actually liked a lot of Tsunade's summons. Even that slug freak Jinchuriki didn't deter her from them. Looks like your last, Sasuke, said Kakashi as he handed Sasuke a long slender box. Sasuke opened it to find a black scabbard Chokudo sword. He unsheathed the blade to find that it had a brilliant mirrored finish. The blade was a little over 2 feet in length and the hilt was black like the scabbard. On the bottom of the hilt was the Uchiha emblem. I bought that blade from Tenten's father's shop. He's the best swordsmith in the village and one of the best in the land of fire. He also claimed it was the best sword he had forged yet, and I would agree that its quality is probably the best I've seen. It also contains the same chakra channeling metal that is in Naruto's kunai. Sasuke took another look at the blade before channeling some of his chakra into the blade. Electricity surrounded the blade before Sasuke consciously changed the chakra to fire. Hey! How come he gets a sword? Outed Naruto. Because you already have one, Gaki, replied Jiraiya. Sasuke sheathed the sword and thanked Kakashi. Oh, and I have one more thing for you. This is for when you get bored lying in a hospital bed, said Kakashi as he pulled out a familiar orange book. Oh hell no! Shouted both Sakura and Tsunade, instinctively slamming their fists simultaneously into Kakashi. Sakura used a fire jutsu on the book to ensure that Kakashi would never give it to Sasuke before turning to find Naruto, Jiraiya, and Sasuke cowering behind a rock. Both student and master gave each other a satisfactory smile. Jiraiya figured he'd best get out of there before Tsunade found some reason to beat on him a bit. Naruto, use the next few days to rest and prepare yourself. When I return, we're out of here. Right, said Naruto as Jiraiya walked off. Come on Sakura. Let's go sign that contract, said Tsunade, taking her student away. Come on, just go up to her and ask her? Nagged Naruto. No, but why not? Sasuke sighed. It was obvious Naruto wasn't going to drop it anytime soon and he would most likely find out in a few days anyways. Because, I already did. That's it for this video. I hope you all enjoyed the video. Don't forget to like the video, subscribe to the channel, and follow me on my other social media accounts. Anime God here, and I'm signing off.